Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Other Castle.
Hello, comrades. I'm Andrea.
And my name is Tom.
Here on The Other Castle, we do the plot, lore, and more behind all your favorite video games.
And if this is your first time checking us out, you can go to our website, theothercastlepodcast.com.
That's theothercastlepodcast.com.
Over there, we have links to our Instagram, our Discord, our item shop, and even our Patreon.
Our Patreon has a 7-day free trial, and our membership start as low as $2, and at that tier, you get one free episode a month.
As well as the $5 and up tier, where you get another episode every single month.
This $5 and up tier has the video podcast version, too, so you can see our faces.
Yes, you can.
And sometimes our feet.
Never our feet.
Whatever keeps the lights on at this point.
Oh my god.
The economy's in shambles.
Anyway, as you said, comrades, so we are doing a Russian game. I think this is our first Russian game, isn't it?
Tetris.
Oh, shit.
You covered Tetris.
That was on the Patreon only.
I was in it.
You were in it.
Yeah.
So this week we are doing Atomic Heart.
Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart is an original title from Mundfish, a studio that is currently based in Cyprus with additional offices across the world. Atomic Heart is Mundfish's first game after the studio was founded in 2017. The game was also announced in 2017, which feels like a very tight turnaround.
Yeah.
With a trailer showing off a lot of environmental art. It made a good splash, which helped the team and Mundfish raise $16 million in 2 investment rounds in 2019 and 2021. These came from a Chinese tech company and a Hungarian game developer.
Oh, wow. All over the world.
Right. The game was released in February of 2023 across PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. Here's the thing. The game was highly criticized due to its ties to, like you said, Russia.
Yeah.
Now, the founders of Mundfish are Russian, and as you'll see, there's a lot of Russian and Soviet Union culture completely, rampant throughout the game. The team has directly said they have no ties to Putin and are simply interested in creating impactful video games and telling stories.
Oh, okay.
Mundfish does indeed employ several Russian team members. However, they have denied that their title received any financial support from Russia. In February of 2024, around a year after the release of the game, mention of their office in Russia was removed from their website. Now, I would be remiss to not acknowledge the drama surrounding Russia and this title. Because of Russia's political actions against other countries, there is an effort to thoughtfully not support Russian projects and thereby not fund Russia's war against Ukraine.
Ah, yes.
In 2014, Russia illegally annexed Crimea, and hostility in Ukraine grew from there. In 2022, Russia began to invade the Ukraine, and it's estimated that over 14,000 Ukrainians have lost their lives due to Russian invasion. And to be so fucking clear, we stand with Ukraine. I've been asked to cover this game for the show, and I did decline for a while because I didn't want to participate in a project that potentially is funding a war, which I appreciate is somewhat morbidly ironic as I'm an American.
I know. Understandably so, but right. We are Americans. The United States is equally as guilty of invading places they have no fucking right to be in as Russia is. So, we're not any better. We are not our countries.
Very much so. And I do want to say that I'm covering this because I've gotten messages for us asking to cover this game specifically, and part of that is I think some people don't want to spend the money on exploring the content, but they are curious about what the story is.
This is a good free way of doing that.
This really, checked my heart because I do this show to make these games accessible for people who can't play, people who don't have time to play, or just want to indulge in a game without picking up a controller. This show is for people who want to engage in gaming even when they can't game. Or if you want to double down and listen to an episode while playing, absolutely go for it. That's some mad lad behavior.
I think that's pretty cool when people do that.
Yeah, no, that's intense behavior. I love it. But I also am very sympathetic to people who may just I don't want to play this, but I am curious, so you tell me what happened. And I don't give money to potentially a genocide over there.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to cover this game for all of those people. And I want to be super fucking clear. Fuck war, fuck invasion, fuck genocide, fuck violence, fuck off.
Fuck it all.
While Mundfish has been careful to stay politically correct and neutral when addressing Russian politics, it is hard to navigate what's true and what's PR. We have to be a bit cynical, unfortunately. They could be earnest and not be involved and heads down just focusing on their games, but they could also be on the absolute opposite of that spectrum. We simply do not know their true intentions.
They could be lying straight to our faces, but at face value, we have to accept what they're saying.
Yeah, and I would love to believe that we are good-hearted and pure in this. Mundfish has released a statement saying that they are undeniably a pro-peace organization against violence against people, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
However, again, I do personally err on the side of balance and paying tenfold for sins. I'm half Irish Catholic. We roll like this.
I'm very Catholic.
Yeah, so
ex-Catholic, whatever.
I live in a house of guilt.
Yeah.
I got the game for about $30 on sale, and I have personally donated $300 to the International Rescue Committee, which serves children and families living in crisis-affected areas, and specifically donated to the fund for families in Ukraine. There is a receipt and a longer explanation of my feelings around this in our Discord, and I will have the link in the description of this episode for anyone who wants to match my donation, meet me any part of the way there, or donate whatever you want on your own.
Yes, please do give generously.
Additionally, team members of Atomic Heart have also followed suit. Mick Gordon, the game's composer, has publicly condemned the Russian invasion of Ukraine and stated that he donated his salary from Atomic Heart to the Red Cross for Ukrainian relief.
His entire salary?
Yep.
Wow.
He said take it back. Atomic Heart hit a reported 10 million players as of May of 2025. The next month after that, in June of 2025, during Summer Game Fest, Mundfish announced Atomic Heart 2 as a direct sequel and a standalone shooter called The Cube, which is also set in the Atomic universe.
Wow. So, like, this game was a hit.
Yeah, it did way better than they anticipated. Mundfish was like, oh my god, are we popular? This is amazing. Right? And now, this is Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart is in our world, but it's very different. It's 1955 in what has become the global superpower of the Soviet Union. We're just above modern-day Kazakhstan in a city called Chalomy, about 10 years after the fall of the Nazi Party. World War II carried on, but before the Nazis fell apart, they released a virus called the Brown Plague. In 1942, this plague ravaged the world, leaving millions dead globally. To fill that gap, the Soviet Union stepped up with robot laborers to compensate for the shortage of people available to work. These robots utilized a substance called polymer that brings them to life and keeps them under control. In the last 13 years, the supply of robots from the Soviet Union has placed the USSR at the forefront of global expansion and rebuilding post-World War II. As the Soviet Union began producing the robots that would rebuild the world, the team developed a cloud-based network of artificial intelligence for robots called Collective. This makes it easier for robots to work together efficiently.
Oh, like a hive mind.
Yeah, and, traditionally, this goes great for humanity. Collective 1.0 was going great and holding labor projects together, keeping robots easy to update, all that good shit. But still, there's more that we as a society can do to advance into the future. The same scientists that developed the Collective 1.0 launched Thought, which integrates polymer into a living human. The polymer from the human connects directly to robots through the network. Humans can better connect with robots using the Thought polymer. Now, this is still in beta, but people are very excited for it to drop nonetheless. The world is actually on the precipice of the launch of Collective 2.0, which would deliver humanity into a post-labor era, fully reliant on robotics to run the world. And it's a beautiful day for humanity. The sun is out, the clouds are fluffy like cotton candy. P3 says he likes this place. It has good vibes. Our brooding protagonist is a September Virgo with big old beefy arms. At the end of his left arm, he has a polymer feature installed in his palm. He opens up his hand, and through a glove, several polymer strings stand upright and glow at their end. They move a bit, like wavy snakes, searching for a signal they can lock into. The polymer talks to P3, giving him some unwanted facts about the region. The polymer in P3's glove is an AI named Charles, not Charles. Charles,
okay.
And P3 tells Charles to can it. He's been here before. Immediately rude. P3 and Charles are gliding down a city river in a small single-seater boat deep into the city. Other small boats go by and people walk along the river, talking about how exciting today is. A robot nearby is giving a tour of the city, talking about how this city in the clouds was formed in 1950 and houses key scientists from the Soviet Republic, including the German SSR.
Am I just gonna be taking, like, nonstop Bioshots throughout this entire game?
We have a drinking game in this show.
Yeah.
I would highly suggest not playing it this episode.
This episode, no. Every time Bioshock gets referenced, don't take a shot?
I mean, keep a counter.
Okay.
How about that? You give me like a ding or something.
It'll put you under the table, huh?
Yeah, don't help, but like, why don't you keep track just for funsies?
Now, before we get going, I do have a question, though.
Yeah.
What is an atomic heart?
We just started. Give me a minute.
Okay.
The tour guide robot emphasizes how important the scientists in this city are. A small drone approaches P3 and asks if he'd like some soda, delivering it on demand from its center body. It's insane that there's soda drones. Like, this is specifically not in the US, but that feels so fucking American.
They're built just for soda.
It calls him comrade while it dispenses a double Diet Dew. P3 sees a robot with a bicycle caught in a tree and out loud says, "That's funny every time." Charles says they're still working on robot navigation systems, and he's a little bit defensive of his clanker brethren. P3 admires the city and sees flocks of drones flying together and massive spaceships hanging above them. He is having, like, such a lovely robot-powered afternoon. His appreciation for nature is cut short when a drone approaches with a phone call. It's Dr. Dmitry Sechenov, the architect of both the collective and thought. He's warm to P3, asking how he slept, how he's doing, how he's liking the glove. And P3 says the glove is growing on him. And Dr. Sechenov is pleased to hear that since he personally designed it. Dr. Sechenov tells P3 to report to the lab to be fully integrated with the polymer glove. The call ends and P3 rides his happy-ass boat up to the street so he can head into the lab. Charles asks if P3 has any questions because he usually has several. He usually asks a lot of fucking questions, man.
I also think it's funny that the AI has more of a name than the human being.
Oh, right? P3 tells him to go away and calls his glove a dickhead. There's a few salesmen on the street talking about polymer implants. They come online in a few days, but people are looking for a demo. P3 goes past and heads into the lab. Dr. Sechenov is giving a big speech in town square today, so he's got another scientist waiting for P3. The city is clean and populated with happy families, all in awe of the age of artificial intelligence, walking amongst the robots. There's more red flags out here than a Tinder inbox. It's beautiful. The architecture here is tall and grand. It feels timeless but modern all at once. P3 says, "Everyone here seems so happy, just like in China." Charles asks if P3 has ever been to China, calling him Major. Major P3 says, "I've been everywhere, except China."
What the hell? Then how do you know how happy they are?
He essentially is like, you know what? I like their spirit and I've heard it's nice. So like, it's giving China. And Charles is like, that's really not an answer. P3 makes it to the lab and shows off his military ID to the robot guarding the entrance. She welcomes P3 and says, "It's a great day because today is the birthday of Collective." She welcomes P3 into the lab and tells him, "Gone are the days where Soviet citizens had to study for years. Now they can just inject a neuropolymer with the education they want and they'll have it."
That's all you have to do now?
Yeah, language, skills, anything educated in an instant.
This is what AI was supposed to do.
It did the opposite.
It did the
In our
opposite
world.
in our world, yeah.
And P3 hears all of this beautiful display of science and he says, yeah, skip the foreplay, bot." She gives him a neuropolymer capsule to get started. It's a large pill-shaped device that Charles connects to. With this first one, P3 can use the polymer to scan his surroundings. It's similar to the Last of Us listening tool, but instead of just enemy, it also shows you where there's items to loot and pick up and shit like that.
Okay.
But we've seen this.
Yep, and so many different games.
The robot walks P3 through a quick tutorial and then lets him go. P3 exits the lab and goes on to meet with the scientists. An announcement rings through town that Dr. Sechenov is about to begin addressing the public. Drones in the air hold screens with a live feed of the doctor. He welcomes his comrades to the future. He says they're on the precipice of an evolutionary victory that will change the world as we know it. Charles lets P3 know he has to go to Dr. Sechenov's office for a key to the car they need to take. Dr. Sechenov goes off to the crowd about polymer and scientific advancements while P3 enters the main facility in the heart of the city. It's massive, and P3 says he loves being here. It's just beautiful. It looks like a massive city hall or state capitol building. There's Rockefeller-style art all the way through. He takes an elevator to Dr. Sessionov's office while Dr. Sessionov's speech is played throughout the building. He talks about how humans will be able to control robots with just a thought. He says humanity will be free from the drudgery of unskilled labor, which I don't love that term,
Yeah.
so we can dedicate ourselves to science. He says, on behalf of all of Facility 3826, I present to you the device of the future, the neural connector, thought. It will allow human beings to be at the center of Collective 2.0, a network for all of mankind, together.
Ooh, wait. Does that mean they're trying to put mankind into a collective, like their own, like, hive mind as well?
Tom, I haven't even gotten to combat yet.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
Would you kindly chill? He describes the future as a whole society connected with the power of instant education. P3 makes it to Dr. Sessionov's office, where two twin ballerina robots with braided hair are facelessly guarding a massive hangar, complete with a crashed plane structure going through the floor.
Ooh, are these the ones that were used in, like, all the advertising?
Yes, very
Okay.
much so. One of the robo twins delivers P3 a vehicle key and tells him to hurry. There's not much time. Charles says, we can take the same elevator we took to get up here. And P3 says, thanks, Einstein. What would I do without you? Which is like, I think you have to balance being able to address the player in some sort of tutorial logic delivery without being a dick.
I get that, but also, like, should you be nice to your clanker?
That's like the whole game.
Oh, really? Okay.
Also, I think it's the hell that we put ourselves into. In the elevator, P3 gets a call from Dr. Sessionov. He apologizes for not being there in person. He's had reporters on him all day. He asks P3 what he thinks of the city, and P3 is complimentary and tells him he's built himself a city of the future. There's nothing else like it in the USSR. Dr. Sessionov, he built this city.
On rock and roll?
Not far off.
Okay.
Chelamoni for humanity. And
Oh.
humanity is on the verge of some massive breakthroughs. And these castles in the sky are just the beginning of the journey to the farthest reaches of the universe. He talks like that a lot.
What? Like, that is... You're going from city to universe real fucking fast there, buddy.
P3 calls him a dreamer. And Dr. Sessionov says, oh, fantasy and science go hand in hand. Most modern inventions were described long ago in science fiction. Flying cars, space travel, even robots.
I mean, that's true. We do tend to pull from science fiction to create science in our real world.
Would you consider this guy a little derivative then?
Everything about it so far is.
All right, sit down. P3 asks if he's confirming he gets his science ideas from sci-fi movies. And Dr. Sessionov doesn't say no. But he does say, I get them from the dreams of mankind, P3. Man was born to dream, to do great things. But unfortunately, there are those who wish to crush those dreams. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
Oh my god.
No, says the man in Washington.
Stop. No, says the man in Moscow. It belongs to everyone.
I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose atomic heart. P3 gets downstairs and asks if Dr. Sessionov needs someone killed, which is a great way to start an interaction.
I love that way.
Dr. Sessionov giggles and says, oh, he hopes it doesn't come down to that, but let's take it one step at a time just in case.
So it's a hard maybe.
It's a standby.
Yeah.
He tells P3 to come in for a glove upgrade, and he'll have a robot greet him. He calls him Sergey at one point, so they're on like a first name basis.
Okay.
P3 confirms and says he's getting in the car now. In front of the lab, there's a massive sculpture with black town cars all around it. P3 pulls out his car key, which sparks with electricity as he holds it near the car door. The car door pops open without the key touching the door, and P3 gets in. He sends the windows and the top down as a drone flies up and requests that he put on his seatbelt. The drone hovers above the car and then sends ropes down to the body, pulling the car up into the air and to P3's destination. We glide over the cloud city of Columbia. Excuse me. Chalomi. We're in Chalomi. While P3 flips through the radio. We hear that the USSR is excited about Collective 2.0. The Americans are expressing concern about unemployment and how there's abundant thought devices for everyone. P3 flips through all of these lore-relevant stories and says, politics. I hate politics. It's so boring. It'll never affect me.
Oh, God, right.
He's the worst.
Keep politics out of video games.
A German scientist calls P3 to check in, and P3 does a very bad German accent and calls him Mein Führer. And then gaslights the scientist saying, oh no, the signal's weak. You're not doing anything racist right now. Which is, like, that's how you meet this character in the game. I know you have a backstory with this man. I don't. You're basically calling him a slur. Charles even is like, P3, don't you think that was a little much? And P3 says, nope, I have no respect for brown nosers.
Okay.
I have respect for Dr. Sessionov because he saved my life on the operating table. My respect is earned. Which is, he's such a brat.
I hate people like that, honestly. Like, just give respect naturally, and then if they make you lose respect for them, then you disrespect them.
Why are you mean?
Why does everybody have to earn something from you?
I don't owe you shit.
Not a damn thing.
P3's car glides through the sky, clouds parting for the purring motor, while P3 finds a way to complain about having to take a car and not a jet across the city. Charles explains it's good for tradition and for plot reasons. I need to tell you things about the world. The landscape of the city is gorgeous with massive statues jutting up from the ground. The car's navigation system lore dumps that he's approaching the robot assembly plant, a delivery distribution hub, a solar farm, and there's more statues dedicated to the USSR's win in World War II. One statue was developed with human artists and robot assemblymen, making it the world's first collaborative artistic effort between man and machine.
Oh, damn.
Which is haunting.
That's terrifying.
P3's car slows to land and Charles alerts him that some of the drones are initiating combat maneuvers. P3 is caught off guard and is unarmed, because why would he be? The drone shoots down at the car and it sets on fire almost immediately.
Oh my God.
Because it's 1955. And it crashes into the lab. A greeter robot approaches P3 and urges him to give her his hand. She promises to escort him to the Vavilon complex. He asks her what's going on and she doesn't know. The greeter bot tells him the robots were carrying on normal operations until they suddenly became hostile. She brings P3 into an elevator. As the doors close, several hostile robots attack, knocking down the greeter bot. She says, "Oh, I slipped." Because she's just gonna lie. P3 punches the hostiles and tells them to fuck off. The greeter bot says, well, that was very rude of them. She is just wired to be mindless and happy, and I hate it. A massive drone shaped like a big bird attacks the elevator.
Seriously?
Songbird opens up the top of the elevator cabin.
They are shameless. Like, I always thought Bendy and the Ink Machine was shameless in its love for Bioshock.
Ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh my lord. This feels like a remake.
We have Bioshock at home.
Yeah.
The greeter bot is shot up and in the wing of the drone, blowing it up, which is fucking great to see every time. I love something getting caught in a wing.
Yeah.
It always looks cool. The elevator is in free fall, unattached from the walls, rolling down hard on the ground. Everything blacks out. And then we get the title card for Atomic Heart.
Thump, 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 thump.
Exactly that.
Really?
No. It's about robots, dipshit. P3 is on the ground, knocked the fuck out, with Charles peeking out of his glove, prodding him awake. P3 opens his eyes to a sky clouded with hostile drones, circling him like vultures. He stands, complaining about the pain of the concussion he is currently navigating. The sun bounces off his tapered fade as he looks around. The city is chaotic here. There's tires on fire and crashed cars everywhere. The city has fallen almost immediately. P3 gets an axe and cautiously starts scanning the area. He gets in touch with Dr. Sessionov, who's confused. He doesn't know what's going on either, but whatever it is, it's fucking raging. Dr. Sessionov says plainly, you know what? I know who's behind this. Viktor Petrov is the reason for all this. He's a traitor who hacked into the collective central hub and caused all the civilian robots to attack.
That bastard.
Petrov has the access codes for the hub. I need you to find him alive. P3 confirms. Copy. Find Petrov, bring him to you alive. Petrov was the lead engineer on Collective, and that's how he got in there. A few months ago, his act of treason of putting some hostile code in the robots was discovered, and he was put on house arrest and forced to continue working on the project, which doesn't feel good.
This does not feel like the appropriate response to hacking a series of robots.
And like deadass, they talk about this a couple times, and their reasoning is like, well, he was already so knee deep in the project, you gotta let him finish it out.
Are you shitting me?
It feels insane.
We caught you trying to cheat. Just stop,
But
please.
you're technically in jail, but please keep going. Now he has clearly gotten free and is running around somewhere, causing havoc. P3 heads further down the road where hostile robots are attacking. Unfortunately, there's quite a few dead civilians. Something I immediately noticed when hitting bodies here, as early into the game as we are, we're finally like swinging an axe. They have the same pixel-perfect cuts that Dead Space revolutionized.
Oh, damn, really?
Yeah, so if you hit someone in a specific area, that's the exact area they get cut, not just like a nearby pixel area of that hitbox.
That is truly impressive, even still today.
Fully. I really appreciate this attention to detail. I think Dead Space is like 2008 or 11 or something. It's old.
It was so early when they did that, but nobody else has really tried to do it since, other than like their predecessors and stuff like that.
It just feels good. It feels so good to be like, I hit you exactly there and that's where your head came off. Fuck yeah. Now, speaking of Dead Space, a massive tentacle comes bursting through the ground, probably 200 feet high. It waves around before coming down hard, destroying an area just past the tree line.
So we got a kraken in the sky? I'm so confused.
Yes. Charles gives P3 some info he's pulled up on Petrov, saying he was arrested for treason and is being held at the Vavilov complex. He's somewhere underground within the Vavilov complex, so they'll have to find a way inside. P3 walks through a pig farm and hears someone shouting for help in an outhouse. They must have gotten trapped inside when the robots revolted. P3 goes to the door and is jumped by a robot like a dumbass. This is like the oldest trick in the book, my guy.
Like, come on, check your corners, rookie.
The robot gets the jump on P3 and holds him down. P3 flails and punches and cusses out the robot and calls it a creepy critter, but it's no use.
A creepy critter?
Oh, no, he has a catchphrase.
What?
Or crispy critter. He calls everything a crispy critter.
A crispy critter?
Yeah.
What, like something you'd find at a Southern County fair?
100% some deep fried Oreo, but the weird kind ass shit.
Oh, I was thinking like a deep fried lizard.
That's literally the crispy critter.
On a stick.
Crisp rat. Then, the robot's face explodes as a pitchfork is plunged through its head from behind. A tiny woman has killed the robot and saved P3. She has a British accent, and I'll also say P3, fully American accent.
Oh.
Not a Russian accent
Really?
on either of these characters.
Interesting.
She scolds P3, telling him this place is a madhouse. She introduces herself as Granny Xena and says anyone who couldn't find a place to hide is dead meat. The robots just started randomly attacking, and now everything's fucked. P3 has the nerve to ask her for a weapon, and she says, "Oh my god, of course! But I'm not giving you shit.
Yeah.
There's a complex downstairs. If you need a weapon, you go down there." P3 goes, "Oh, the Vavilov complex? That's where I'm headed." Granny Xena says, "It's your lucky day, 'cause I'm heading there too, and it's basically safe." She doesn't sound super confident.
Yeah.
A drone with an orange scanner comes down, and Granny Xena says, "Ah, shit, we have 30 seconds.
We've been made.
P3 screams for context, and Granny Xena says, 30 seconds until we're royally fucked. She calls him a beefcake and makes him help her with a shelter. She gives P3 a key to turn and runs to a gun box. She pulls out a massive gun and yells at the drones to eat shit and die. I love her. She pulls out a bazooka and lifts it over her shoulder, aiming it at a pair of drones and hitting them both at once.
Hell yeah, I definitely love her.
They spiral and crash, revealing a massive robot mech. P3 screams, "Holy shit, it's a robot!" as the platform dives underground.
There's so many robots. Like, this is when you're surprised?
Look, he's 33. He's really kind of figuring out who he is, and I don't think he likes what he sees.
Yeah.
He's just saying things.
Nobody likes what they see when they look in the mirror at 33.
It's a rough one. The elevator panel goes down for floors and floors, landing at a midpoint between the floors. P3 climbs up and into the underground hallway. And it's right here where he takes a moment to smoke a cigarette. Because it's the 1950s and this was considered healthy. But it's so jarring to see characters smoke cigarettes. Like, it's so old-fashioned at this point. Like, why aren't you sucking down a USB stick?
He's got to refill his plasmids, so.
You know how it is. Oh, hang on to that. P3 smokes this cigarette and heads out looking for Petrov while Charles lore dumps about Petrov. Naturally, there's in-world findable recordings of when the robots began to turn hostile that you can listen to.
Of course there are.
Because it's Bioshock. P3 opens a door and finds a living man and goes to help him when metal tentacles wrap around the man's throat. The robot pulls the man through the darkness as he screams and screams and screams. Which is just a great trope in a lot of games.
I do love that they're making, like, animal robots.
Yeah. There's labs down here and offices and research on robots. Over comms, P3 hears Granny Xena giving shit to some soldiers who are trying to keep her from passing through a gate. It's nice to know she's out here just being mean.
Yeah.
Charles is concerned and tells P3 something's wrong. And he's right. A massive tentacle, probably 10 feet wide, all around with edges like an electric razor, flies down from the ceiling, destroying the floor and revving its drills at P3.
Oh no.
It dives deeper into the facility, and the rumblings bring down the ground from below P3. He falls, then a slab of concrete falls on top of him. He blacks out and wakes up to a white woman with purple braids holding his face. She asks him how many fingers she's holding up, and P3 answers with mild confidence. She says, "Great, now get up, I need your help." P3 stands and sees a few people in soldier outfits bleeding. He asks who they are, and the woman says, "They brought you here. Put pressure on this wound." She guides P3 to one of the soldiers who's bleeding out. She introduces herself as the doctor. She's Larissa, and tells him there's no time for small talk. He sees a polymer capsule on the table and grabs it, loading it into his Charlis. Larissa asks how he did that, but is interrupted by a hostile robot. It enters and uses laser eyes to cut through the room.
Oh.
It cuts one of the soldiers in half. It goes full fucking Homelander.
Oh my god, immediately.
Larissa takes advantage of the chaos and crawls into a vent to avoid the robot. The robot goes to P3, opens its face wide open to reveal all the cogs in place, then throws P3 across the hall into another room. This kicks off a closed arena boss battle with a very angry Clanker and, like, Homelander vision. I cannot emphasize this enough.
Did the robot open its face just to scare P3?
Literally, yes.
Just to be scary. Okay.
Yep, just to be fucked up.
Five Nights at Freddy's opening the fucking mask up.
Like, what can I do to feel fucked up at this moment?
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
gonna show you inside of me. After this, P3 goes through more of the facility. A female robot sexually harasses him and wraps her tentacles around him, saying she wants to tie him to the bed and tells him to stop resisting.
Oh my god.
He just straight up gets sexually assaulted.
Immediately, too.
This robot is probably around the size of an old-timey jukebox, and its face opens up to reveal several tentacles.
What the fuck is this thing?
Unfortunately, this is plot relevant. They're snipping and picking at P3. He is, like, screaming like, "You fucking crispy critter, stop touching my balls."
You crispy critters.
Charles warns him to not get too tangled up and to get him to the sensor manipulator. Her tentacles go for his dick and says, "Oh, rebellious man, turn me on."
My god, you can't do that.
P3 is so fucking confused, but still manages to say, "Oh, I'll turn you on. Just let me at ya."
He's confused because he kind of liked it.
He liked it a little. But he's also like, "Hey, I don't want to bottom for you because you're a robot.
Right.
And I don't like this." But he gives her a little jib jab, which I didn't care for. He begins to connect Charles to the machine, and she begins to become more submissive, saying, "Oh, anything for my master."
Oh my god.
Eventually, Charles gets the horny sexual assault robot to calm the fuck down and reboot. And with this, we've unlocked the robot that we meet throughout the entire game that upgrades his weapons and his plasmids.
Wait, this is like, and his plasmids.
Come back when you got some money, buddy.
But,
that's
like,
fucking this.
This is the shopkeeper going forward?
The shopkeeper wants to fucking R-word you.
Oh my god.
Here's the thing. So these robots are throughout the entire game, throughout the entire map. not all of them are sexual assault robots. Only a couple of them.
Not all of them?
Yeah.
Like, there's
It is the exact same robot. You see, it's the same color pattern. It's in the same type of place where you save your game. There's a save point next to it. But sometimes, maybe 1 out of every like 7 visits, she will try to fucking suck you.
She's got an atomic heart on for you.
Entirely, girl. Not enough blood for both hearts. Like, it's ridiculous. She really is like, I want to feel you inside of me. And he's like, I don't want to do that.
Is that an option? Just out of curiosity.
I didn't get there.
I'm just thinking of it like in like Solo when she's like, it works. I'm like, but how? Like,
I was like, did you fuck the robot in Bioshock?
no, I'm just curious. I'm like, she wants to fuck. Like, is that possible? I don't know. I'm just curious.
This is a couple steps down from Cyberpunk.
Okay.
So Cyberpunk is 2077. This is 1955.
Which is so funny to me that like somehow Russia got like the AI boom in the 1950s and robotics and shit like that. When you already mentioned, you know, we did the Tetris episode in the Patreon, and in the 1980s, like they had one computer for an entire company.
Yeah.
And it was an old ass fucking computer. It wasn't even like a home computer or anything like that. This was a full-size room
Right. It sucked.
So the idea that they were the ones that managed to pull all this off so fucking fast after World War II is hilarious in ways, but you know, I'm kind of here for the ride anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be. I need you for the rest of the episode.
They invented the atomic heart and it all just kind of worked, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the end of the game. Damn. Did you play this? Spoilers.
No.
And then the atomic heart grew 3 sizes that day. Merry Christmas. You fucking nut. As this bitch delivers the upgrade, she's still like horny. Like, he has her subdued, but she'll be like, and don't forget, I'm here to help you upgrade your red hot pocket rockets.
Oh my God.
Because she upgrades the weapons. But he's like, why are you like this? You're fucking messy. I don't like you. She tells him to get rid of the glove. She'll service him however he wants now.
Oh my God, basically saying you don't need your hands anymore.
I'm sorry, I wrote down a bunch of examples of shit she... And we do publish these to YouTube, so I don't think I can say all of these. P3 inserts his axe to upgrade it, and she begs for more, and... God damn it, there's a lot of these. It is... Here, I'm jumping to my notes. It is the most bizarre upgrade system I've ever seen.
It truly is so far.
Charles and P3 talk a bit about Petrov and his treason. The world trusts robots from the USSR, and by turning all the robots evil, Petrov purposely is putting the reputation of the entire Soviet Union at risk. Charles says Petrov wants the world to stop using the robots, and P3 calls him, you son of a bitch, you crispy critter.
You crispy critter.
Aesthetically, parts of the lab area do look like the oldest house.
Mm.
It's a retro smoking indoors era office, although there are a couple signs that say no smoking. And there are a whole bunch of like destruction and murder around in this like mildly corporate setting.
I think doctors were at the time suggesting cigarettes, so.
Yeah, like it helped the baby.
Yeah.
There's pockets of areas that look like bubbles of water, like dewy condensation in the morning, and they turn out to be paths you can swim through. It's like kind of almost swimming, but it's like a clear polymer. It looks like goop.
Okay.
A polymer path takes P3 to another part of the facility to find Petrov. It's empty, or it's at least cleared out after the clash of the clankers. P3 hears a voice and realizes, that's a corpse, that's a talking corpse. Oh God, no, I'm talking to a corpse.
There's zombies now?
The zombie. The corpse tells P3 to find the schematics. And P3 asks, how are you talking? Because I can see that you're dead. And Charles explains that it's a byproduct of lingering neuropolymer activity.
Oh my God.
Everyone who died here was polymerized because they were working on collective and all that shit. P3 is just glad to hear that dead people can't talk. This is just some horrific sci-fi shit, but he's not crazy.
Like, this is a genuine worry when it comes to like nanobot technology and shit like that. That, like, after a person dies, what happens to the nanobots kind of a shit, and I think they call it like the gray sludge. To have it like continue operating your body after you're dead is the most horrifying version of events.
That is correct. Now, Charles, to be more specific, also explains that the neuropolymer stores the dead person's last thoughts, anywhere between a minute to a few days after their death. And he also is clear, sometimes last words aren't always a winner.
Mm.
But this does add, for all of the lovingly borrowed elements of this game. This is something I haven't seen, where you can walk up to a dead body and it'll just kind of talk to you for like a minute or two.
Yeah, right. Usually gotta cast a spell to get that to happen.
Very much so. That scene in the Dungeons and Dragons movie where they're going through the cemetery and he keeps casting the spell to ask questions to the corpse.
Yeah, you can do that in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. But this is just every dead body you come across. And some of them are like, dying fucking sucks.
That's insane.
Help me. And some of them are lore relevant where they'd be like, oh, the code to that shit's 0451. You know?
Really?
Some are helpful. Some are just a bummer.
That's crazy that the bodies can talk in this.
This one's fucked up. I wasn't going to bring this up, but now we are. There's one dead body that is named Dead Game Developer. And he talks about crunch culture. And it doesn't feel good. And I like I mentioned earlier, I err on the side of wanting to be optimistic.
Right.
I want this to be a meta joke. I want this to be a commentary on gaming. I'm realizing that was someone's cry for help.
That really was. They snuck that in there.
The cynicism in me is like, no, baby, that was... They're not being cheeky. They're saying, please send help to me.
This is a cry for help.
And I feel like I maybe should donate some more money to something.
Was there a phone number that followed up after that?
There might be a cipher I haven't unlocked. But I think it's fascinating. And it's crazy that the dead people can talk here. All right, so after we get through meeting the zombie for the first time,
right,
a massive worm-like robot flies through the corridor.
Why not?
Opening up a tunnel. Charles confirms, hey, that's a Bruov, a tunneling robot. The Soviet Union is looking to utilize them in space because we're going to conquer all the other planets. It's 1955.
With robots.
Yes. There's a dead technician here that tells P3 that, oh, those tunneling robots, they were going to be used to create tunnel systems on the moon. Which sounds crazy.
Honestly, that was my first thought.
Yeah, they would tunnel the moon?
They would, yeah.
Okay. That's where your brain went. P3 comes upon a large lab where he hears Petrov talking to a woman. She asks if everything's ready and if he pulled it off. He tells her, oh, don't worry, honey. I'm right as rain. The operation was painless. The woman appears to be on the phone and warns Petrov that he has to go. There's an armed man with a polymer glove coming for him. And we're like, oh my god, that's P3. Petrov says, ugh, that must be Seshenov's guy. Larissa, did you talk to him? And it turns out this is a group call. And Dr. Larissa, who saved our life, says, yes, I did. He was attacked by a robot and we took him to the infirmary. I couldn't let him bleed out. Petrov yells into the phone saying, well, I think you should have. It would have helped us save a lot of trouble. That guy's trying to kill me. The other woman on the call says, oh, it scares me when you talk like that. Petrov says to meet at the exit. P3 has taken advantage of this crash out to get closer to Petrov. P3 comes out, gun drawn, and says, hands up. Petrov asks who P3 is, who responds formally, I'm a major, special operations, and that's the last question you get. He's been waiting to be like, I'm a big boy. P3 takes a step forward as Petrov takes a step back. The call didn't hang up, and the woman on the call yells for Petrov. P3 announces he's taking Petrov to the Cloud City. Petrov, with his hands behind his head, says, of course, Major. He pauses, then says, intrusion. P3 says, what? And Petrov repeats, intrusion! And this triggers nearby drones to awaken and attack P3.
Oh no.
Petrov gets away while all this happens. P3 is admittedly a little impressed at how well Petrov could control the robots. P3 chases Petrov through this area and hears him screaming. Charles says, we need him alive! Go fast, Major! And P3 tells his robot, what the fuck does it look like I'm doing?
People can only go at max speed, and for not very long.
Charles, you don't have legs! You don't get to complain about how other people use them.
Yeah, or lungs.
I also kind of love that they hate each other. He runs into the horny upgrade robot, who admits to him that she killed someone once.
Oh my god.
He hates her, but he does ask her to refrain from killing people. He's like, that's fucking weird, man. I really just wanted to, upgrade my gun. Don't kill people.
Yeah, I mean, you also said upgrade my gun. She might have just practiced.
Yeah. P3 finds Petrov, but not all of him.
Oh.
Petrov's head is missing.
Oh no.
P3 is not surprised, but he is disappointed. He said he had a feeling it'd end this way.
Really?
I don't think he knew it was going to be a decapitation,
Right.
but I think he feared violence. P3 calls Dr. Seshnov and gives him the bad news. Petrov is decapitated. Dr. Seshnov says, "Damn, his head contained the codes I would have used to end this nightmare quickly. That fucking head could have stopped the robot uprising."
Well, we have the head.
And he's like, no, we don't have the head.
Oh, we don't have
we
the
have
head.
his whole body. Don't have the head. The
They
head's
took
gone.
the head with them.
Yeah, the head is elsewhere. We don't
Well,
know.
Damn.
He tells P3 to head back to the lab. They have bigger things to deal with. Oh, head. P3 heads up. God damn. P3 leaves the facility and goes to a place called the VDNH, and he'll get further instructions from the German scientists that he hate crimed earlier today. There's seed labs and all sorts of experiments happening here. Charles hypothesizes that the seeds created sprouts, and those sprouts are going to be able to infect the dead bodies. And guess what happened? The sprouts are going to infect the dead bodies.
Of course they are.
So you're getting the dead bodies. They're a little alive. They're going, "Arr!"
They're already kind of zombies.
Okay, hear me out. They're growling, and then the sprouts come. Now, the sprouts land on their heads.
Jesus Christ.
And then we start to get this beautiful, let's call it a mushroom growth outside of their head. And you know what they are? They're infected with the sprouts.
Are you serious? Now it's the fucking Last of Us?
We call them mutants.
We
They're
call
sprouts.
this game a fucking mutant.
How many Last of Us tags have we had? Because I think we've had a couple.
A few Last of Us, but mostly Bioshock. It's just crazy that it's like this weird amalgam of so many other games that it hardly has its own identity.
It almost feels like you took a bunch of games and fed them into a computer.
Oh no.
Whoa.
And AI is one of the main characters. Let's see.
His name is Charles, and he's a glove, Tom.
And the human's just P3.
Yeah. He's a major. And just like that, we get stumbling, bulky dead bodies with a fungus growing off the top of their head.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
P3 and Charles fight their way through. Alone in an elevator, Charles asks if P3 is mad at him, which is so tender. P3 surprisingly was vulnerable and said, "No, I'm mad at myself. This is about me. I'm mad I couldn't get Petrov alive. I failed my mission. I'm disappointed in myself. I let down Dr. Seshnov, and that guy's like a father to me. That guy saved my life." Charles asks P3 what he remembers of his life, and P3 admits he only remembers around 2 years back, and everything before he got hurt is just gone. Charles reminds P3 that it is illogical to feel guilty for something that is not your fault, and P3 argues that he still feels bad. Charles tells P3 there's no pleasing Dr. Seshnov. He's always disappointed in everyone. This is not a special instance. His perfectionism is pathological, and everyone in his life knows it. And P3 says that's bullshit, and Charles tells him that the neuropolymer gloves are incapable of deception, which is such a silly conversation to have with a glove.
I'm not allowed to lie.
I'm a glove. P3 and Charles navigate through the facility, seeing more and more evidence of plans to terraform space. They're going to capitalize on other planets and spread the work of the USSR through the galaxy. The German scientist, Dr. Michael Stockhausen, excuse me if I fuck that up, gets a hold of P3 on the comms and says he needs to find Larissa. She was working with Petrov. He also needs her alive, so if she's threatened, go to her defense. She cannot die. P3 is annoyed by this because she helped Petrov turn the robots hostile, and she's working with Petrov, and she's personally ruining his day. Stockhausen tells P3 that he believes Larissa had no idea of his true intentions to be a homicidal maniac with the robots. He insists Larissa face a jury to determine how involved she was. P3 laughs at this because even though she saved him, he really doesn't like her, so he has no respect for her. A lot of the facility is completely destroyed by this point. Tunnels and platforms are ravaged. Charles tells P3 that Larissa had worked with Seshnov for years, and he trusted her with some of the most crucial parts of Collective 2.0. In fact, she replaced Sheridan Zakharov on the team after Zakharov died. P3 doesn't even know who Zakharov is, which Charles gets a little defensive about. The Gloves yells that Zakharov was a tenured professor of medical science and one of the scientists that vanquished the Brown Plague. He was also a close friend of Seshnov, and they built Facility 3826 together. He was like a really big deal here. Larissa is a talented neurosurgeon and was Comrade Zakharov's student and assistant. But now she's a criminal and a traitor to the motherland.
Mm.
And P3 says, understood. That's too bad. I think she's cute. Which is... I don't love when a protagonist decides to hit on someone for the player.
Right.
P3 finds a chatty corpse who says the robots started attacking a few days ago, and it was quick, unexpected, and very bloody. When it started, there were robots everywhere. But now they've dispersed. They're probably going through the tunnels of the facility, or they're getting out waiting for fighters. P3 says, all right, gotcha, gotta run, goodbye. And he just dismisses this man's last words. It's just, it happens so much, but it really shook me when I, early in my playthrough of like, there feels like so much lore. And sometimes he can ask questions.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times he's like, that's crazy. And just fucking leaves.
It just fucks off.
Yeah. There's more of the upgrade robots throughout, but not all of them are horny because not all of them have the horny patch deployed. And I found it disappointing when the first time I found one that was like, hi, would you like to upgrade your gun?
That was just boring.
Yeah, and I was like, wait.
Why aren't you into me?
Is it something I said? Do you think I'm poor because I couldn't afford the big upgrade yet? I need to go looting, babe. What do you mean? Like, we went on a journey together is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you hate the attention until you're not getting it anymore.
And then I'm like, how old did I get?
Like,
oh
what
my
happened?
God. Your 30s are hard. P3 finds more organic matter labs with studies on chickens, pesticides, all sorts of shit. The sprout head infected her all over the place. I was playing around with different things to call them. I like sprout heads the best. There's voice memos where scientists discuss planting corn on the moon and terraforming the entire universe. And I just want to say, everything I know about terraforming, I've learned because of video games. And that was a big point of Fort Solace, which I think is an underrated title that we covered in Season 7.
It was underrated, totally.
No one played it but me. I had a great time, though. P3 naturally is sent on a comically large amount of fetch quests just to make it through the facility. Throughout the facility, he finds several incubators with animals like crows and pigs and chickens under observation. P3 goes through and turns on some switches, turning the incubators into blenders and seeing their blood paint the glass red.
Oh my God.
And P3 says, holy fuck, did I just kill them?
Yep.
And Charles explains, this is where some of the organic components that go into polymer come from.
Oh my God.
P3 is immediately upset. He's having a terrible day.
Polymers, people.
And pigs. The facility is a massive maze, and P3 finds one living scientist, the first in a long time. This scientist is frantic and terrified of a plant called the hemlock in the facility. He's saying the hemlock could wake up and attack and they need to blow it up. P3 says, sure, couldn't care. But fine, and he agrees to help the nervous man. There's a massive wall with plant overgrowth that P3 looks up at. He's surprised by its mass, and Charles explains that this is the result of a bad science experiment.
Oh.
P3 calls them eggheads and goes on the fetch quest to help the scientist. P3 finds a voice memo that talks about how the plant has begun evolving to track food and attack with vines.
Oh.
The hemlock is a very bad plant. P3 gets a massive vat of pesticides to the hemlock and tells him to choke on it, fuckbag, and then lights a cigarette. Honestly, he's cool as fuck sometimes. That was hard as hell.
But also fighting something with pesticides like you do in Bioshock.
Resident Evil.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
But it's like, if this takes place in 1955, does it place it prior to those games? No, it doesn't. No. This came out in 2023.
It got made at a different time, so it doesn't count.
Do you think this is how they justified it, though? Like, yeah, but canonically, Resident Evil wasn't until the 90s, so...
No, you can't justify this shit, honestly.
I like seeing him smoke a cigarette after he kills a big plant, though.
No, I get that. That's the cool guy smoke a cigarette.
Which has happened before. The frantic scientist sees P3 and they catch up. P3 shows him how he moved a massive vat of pesticides to the hemlock. The frantic scientist snatches P3's cigarette and throws it at the vat of pesticides, causing an explosion, which angers the plant. So also, if I didn't make this clear, P3 just rolled the pesticides near the plant and said, I fucking did it. To be clear, he pushed something there, lit a cigarette, and was like, I'm fucking sick. And the scientist was like, okay, that did fucking nothing, dude. What do you mean? Give me
so
that.
Fucking useless.
The plant moves, its arms made out of strong branches, wiry and long like spider legs, and they reach out and flail as the plant begins to burn.
God damn it, P3.
The frantic scientist in P3 hit the deck. The hemlock sends out a sprout, which attaches to the frantic scientist, infecting him and turning him into a sprout-headed clicker. The scientist leaps and attacks P3. P3 reaches in and rips the scientist's tongue out of its massive gaping face hole and kicks it away, which he goes back to being cool as fuck again. That was an awesome kill. P3 catches his breath and says, the scientist got nothing better to do than to make killer shrubs. Charles tries to defend the advancement of scientific research, but P3 is not having it. He concludes that he hates parasites, human or otherwise. Which is, like, that's a corny line.
It is, because that's not really what the plant was being anyway.
Yeah, if the scientist was, like, leeching on him, being like, give me fucking heals, do this for me, that kind of makes sense.
But there was no leeching going on.
No. Come on. It's almost a cool line.
Yeah, in the right context, it could have been a cool line.
P3 makes it to the edge of the facility and pushes open a door into the city of Chelami. It's another beautiful day, but it's quiet and chaotic. The city is completely trashed, with trash everywhere. Bodies, bot parts. It's a hot mess warmed by the sunshine. P3 sees some drones deploy, and Charles says, oh god, those are repair bots. They're here to fix their harmed brothers in battle, and they're gonna get all the fucked up robots back in fighting form.
Oh, damn.
Charles tells P3 to ignore them as they watch the newly downed robots spring back to life. P3 sees a camera on one of them, and this adds a new battle mechanic where the robots can spot you acting hostile and bring more robots to beat your ass.
Oh, come on.
P3 starts going through the city, and he chats with Charles about the robots. There's only one set of robots, the Tereshkovas, that are not affected by the hostility patch. They're not connected to Collective, so they wouldn't be activated with any, like, hostility patches. Those are the greeter bots that we interacted with earlier. They have a very specific face. They have, like, painted makeup on so we can identify who they are. But it's funny because, like, the robots will try to kill you, and then there'll be one that's like, hello, would you like to buy a newspaper? Isn't it a lovely day? You're like, oh, bitch, you have no idea. Charles also tells P3 that the downed robots are being replenished by a nearby factory, and the factory is deploying as many as they can. P3 goes to a lookout point and gets a call from an old friend, Granny Xena. P3 is so pleased to hear from her, and they catch up a bit. She's jovial and tells him to stop by her hut. She's got blueprints for big guns and wants to help him. P3 asks about her hut, and Granny Xena says, oh, honey, what kind of Baba Yaga would I be without a hut on chicken legs? I love her. She's John Wick.
You love a good Baba Yaga, too.
And P3 loves her because she's John Wick.
Right.
He heads down from his lookout point to meet up with Granny Xena at her hut. On the way, he's jumped by a massive robot, probably 9 or 10 feet tall, that throws him around like a rag doll. This big-ass robot has him completely on the ropes when it's blasted with fire from above. P3 looks up and sees something shooting fire down at the robot as it touches down. But this isn't a flamethrower. It's the thrusters from below a flying hut.
Oh, damn.
The Baba Yaga lands at P3's feet, and he enters the hut.
We're in a rocket house now.
She's so fucking cool. He's glad to see Granny Xena, and she offers him a cup of tea. Inside her hut is a small chicken with a hut built around it. A hut with chicken legs.
There you go. That's the Baba Yaga right there.
P3 asks what the fuck that is, and Granny Xena shushes him. P3 sits and looks at Granny Xena's TV, where there's a live feed of a legal hearing about the robot hostility at Facility 3826. The president of the Council of Ministers of the Soviet Union, Yegor Molotov, is interrogating Dr. Sessionov. Dr. Sessionov assures Molotov that the issue at Facility 3826 has been contained and everything's gone back to normal. We know that's not true. Molotov is concerned because regardless of Facility 3826's current status, the Americans will likely find out about this occurrence.
Damn Americans.
And this could start an international scandal and put the Atomic Heart Project in jeopardy.
Oh, wait. The Atomic Heart is a thing.
He said project.
Okay. Oh, it's a project at the very least.
Dr. Sessionov isn't concerned and says, my project, a project I started before the beginning of the war. A project you all refuse to acknowledge. How many Soviet citizens died in that war? I swore that the world would never see its like again. The Baba Yaga chicken perches on P3, who screams and pushes it off his body because he hates the bird.
It's afraid of birds.
I get it. Molotov yells at Dr. Sessionov, saying, I'm glad to hear you still value human life over your mechanical toys, but that doesn't change the fact that we are all slowly being suffocated by Western sanctions. Dr. Sessionov appears as a hologram. We realize that he's not in the room, which is kind of cool, as he addresses Molotov, saying, I value human life above all else, and the age of capitalist exploitation is coming to an end. Soon the Western working class will pay off the yoke of the oppressor. I understand my duty all too well, comrade. The polymerization of the entire Soviet population, the launch of the collective neural network, Operation Atomic Heart.
Oh, there it is again.
Now it's an operation. Dr. Sessionov is cut off by Molotov. P3 is perplexed, taking in all this information from someone he thought he knew best in the world. Molotov yells, What duty are you referring to? Do you even realize if the Americans find out that your robots can be switched to combat mode, your project will be dead in the water? Dr. Sessionov is calm, saying, They're not gonna find out. I repeat, the malfunction has been dealt with. Molotov doesn't trust him.
At all.
He tells Dr. Sessionov, I don't trust you. Dr. Sessionov doesn't face a lot of rejection. And he asks, okay, what's that supposed to mean? Granny Xena sits down next to P3 on the couch. They're so locked into this, P3 isn't even mad to be holding the chicken Baba Yaga in his lap now. Molotov declares, the Politburo has come to a decision, and I have been ordered to head a special commission investigating your malfunction.
Ooh.
We will be at your facility today. Do I make myself clear? Dr. Sessionov looks down at nothing in particular while his brain whirs awake. He says, well, if the party deems it necessary. He looks upset but remains calm. The feed cuts out and P3 says, holy shit. Granny Xena, how did you get access to this? And she says, oh, it's a direct connection. I've got eyes and ears everywhere, sweet cheeks.
Ooh.
She stalks P3 back up before sending him out with blueprints to bigger guns. She's the fucking best. I love her.
I love her entirely. I love that she's got an army of people that report into her.
Right?
Oh, that's so great.
Also, they just like gig and gag for a bit, and P3 is talking to her, and he's like, how did you survive all of this? And she goes, oh, I didn't. I'm a ghost.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you fucking idiot. That's a stupid question. I survived because I had to, you fucking moron. Like, she doesn't let him get away with shit.
Not a damn thing. I love it. No, it does remind me a little bit of John Wick, though. How, like, she's got her network the same way, like, when he encounters the guy on the roof with the pigeons and shit like that.
Yeah, I've got eyes and ears everywhere.
Yeah.
Honey. P3 is like, I have to fucking ask, what's up with the goddamn chicken? It's a Baba Yaga? Those are real? What's happening here? And Greenie Xena says, wait, that's just a regular chicken. Oh my God, are you high? And then she laughs her ass off at him and says, this is Facility 3826. It's basically the Emerald City. Haven't you seen a chipped chicken before?
Oh my God.
And P3 is like, baby, absolutely not. I didn't know that was a thing. What do you mean?
I didn't know that was an option.
I love that they just like gag on each other. They're like, girl, what do you mean?
I like that they fuck around.
Yeah. P3 picks back up on his instructions from the German scientist and tells Granny Xena he needs to go to the VDNH, so she sends him down to the train station. Before he leaves, Granny Xena says, oh, wait, you're meeting with Stockhausen, right? P3 asks how she knows that. She ignores that question and says, oh my God, okay, wait, tell that Kraut things might have been different if he hadn't been chasing after another man's woman.
Oh.
P3 just starts laughing and is like, I am so happy to be your friend right now. What the fuck do you mean? This is the most bonkers ass old lady. I love her.
More like Cuckhausen. Oh,
damn. You got him. Goddamn. P3 heads down the road, and once he's out of earshot, he immediately starts gossiping with Charles. He goes, okay, girl, who is Granny Xena? What was that? Charles doesn't have an answer. He has no idea who that lady is.
She is not in my records.
P3 says, oh, I figured you knew her. I noticed you were quiet during the entire interaction.
Oh.
I figured you didn't want her to hear your voice.
Interesting.
Charles tells P3, I chose not to reveal myself until I determined whose side she's on. And that feels like a sneaky lie, but I like it.
Yeah, I can understand that logic, but I don't believe it.
P3 asks Charles about Project Atomic Heart, and Charles has no data on that and suggests P3 asks Dr. Sessionov directly. And P3 goes, who cares? Atomic Heart can't be that important.
It's only an entire operation, project,
Title of the game.
title of the game, it's everything.
He says, if I needed to know, Dr. Sessionov would have told me. And I cannot emphasize enough how much I blindly trust this man because he operated on me 2 years ago.
Yeah, it means you don't need to fucking know.
He's such a good puppy. P3 heads to the train station, and on his way, he can play with his plasmids.
Oh, because he has those now?
A power that comes from the first-person character's left hand.
Oh my god, out of the left hand, too.
Some plasmids include lightning power, freezing ice power, telekinesis,
And crows.
but not bees.
Okay.
These powers are also just called skills,
Skills.
which doesn't feel as good.
They didn't even bother to come up with a fucking name for it.
I would have taken a Russian word for it.
Just anything
Like,
other than skills.
What's the Russian word for skills or
Yeah.
power or like
Honestly,
magic?
I would probably take that word.
Yeah.
Sounds cooler than just skills.
Skills. You know what I have on skills on my LinkedIn? Fucking writing, and, like emails and shit.
I can use Excel.
Yeah. Save as. I got this shit.
Yeah.
P3 says they just need to get to the train station and they're all good. And the game will end there.
What?
No. Charles out loud says, I sincerely hope we don't encounter any obstacles along the way.
Me too, buddy.
They encounter obstacles along the way.
Ah, damn it.
P3 gets to the train, which is run by the robots that weren't affected by the hostility malfunction, and demands the train take him to the VDNH. The robot is happy to oblige, but does ask for P3's train ticket. P3 argues with the robot, who tells him that only pregnant women or people with disabilities may ride for free, and then suggests P3 come back with a letter from his gynecologist.
What a hell of a read.
Why is this one so sassy? Is my question. Like, they programmed that. Someone had to say, hey, robot, here's what a gynecologist is. What do you mean? P3 goes on a fetch quest to get a train ticket and then gets the train moving.
Oh, I thought I was getting a letter from a gynecologist.
He goes and gets his vagina checked out. They put the duck thing in there, yeah. Charles and P3 talk for a bit. P3 is worried about Dr. Sessionov. Like, he doesn't even know what's going on with him and all this shit. And Dr. Sessionov is the closest thing P3 has to a family. P3 barely starts opening up before standing, saying, oh shit, what is that? And then getting his ass rocked
Oh my god.
when a big-ass robot begins attacking the train. Like, he's on the verge of being vulnerable. And you know what happens? A robot falls out of the sky to prevent that.
And this is why you should never be vulnerable.
Wait, Let's listen to the whole story before we declare a mental health thing, Tom.
Okay.
Or just not. It destroys the train cars, and P3 is thrown from the train and watches as it crashes as they pull up to the train station platform. So, timing's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
P3 shakes off the trauma and sees a man running and chases after him. He realizes it's Stockhausen and catches up to him, demanding Stockhausen start talking. Stockhausen says, Molotov is on his way here to the VDNH. Sessionov wants you to go there now and initiate an emergency drill. Oh, and Sessionov wanted me to give you this. Stockhausen gives P3 a small poker chip-sized device that pops into a robot spider and crawls up P3's arm.
Why?
We're just gonna include the spider bots.
Oh, come on.
He's pleased and figures the spider bot will come in handy because he's played Spider-Man.
They just didn't care. Not a single fucking original idea amongst them.
It's red and blue. Like, no, I'm kidding. Stockhausen then yells, okay, so you're a soldier. Your job is to cover me. And P3 says, hey, I guess that's technically correct. And then Stockhausen starts just running down the train station platform. Like fucking willy-nilly, he is a scientist and he's like, someone's gonna shoot the robots for me, and just dashes. P3 calls him a slippery little bitch and then gets jumped by a few hostile robots.
He's not the crispy critter.
He probably threw that in there. I could not type every single one time. I'm so sorry. Stockhausen sees P3 getting beat up and says, Auf Wiedersehen, and then runs down a corridor out of sight. And P3 cannot. He just fucking hates this man so much. P3 gets to the VDNH, which is a national exhibit of all the scientific advancements made by Facility 3826. The facility is under duress because of the robot uprising, as it is, so they have to jump through some hoops to make it inside. P3 asks Charles why Molotov is looking into Dr. Sessionov's work right now, right before the launch of Collective 2.0. Charles says, hey man, that's exactly why they're looking into this, because they're about to launch some crazy shit. He wants to check it out. And he's also like, there was a malfunction today.
Like, just earlier.
Like, we're kind of still in the middle of it, homie. They're still attacking. The malfunction shows that Dr. Sessionov is incapable of overseeing Facility 3826, and by extension, the polymerization of the Soviet Union. P3 is characteristically quick to defend Dr. Sessionov, saying that all of this is just bullshit and it's Petrov's fault. Petrov's the one that turned the robots evil. Charles says, I'm afraid that Comrade Molotov doesn't care how many people died, and neither does Sessionov. P3 is annoyed and says, okay, you know, what the fuck are you talking about, Glove? I love when he calls him Glove. Sessionov is doing everything he can to fix this. Charles corrects him, saying, actually, comrade, it's you doing everything you can do to fix this, not Dr. Sessionov. Which is so fucking real. He's like, hey man, you're the protagonist.
Yeah, you're the literal main character.
Deadass. P3 doesn't care, and he can't accept this. He goes, okay, but why did he send me here? He tries to imply that him being out here and being delegated to work is exactly Dr. Sessionov personally handling the problem. Which, to be very fucking clear, it isn't. Charles tells him, why did he send you here? Think about it logically. Comrades Sessionov and Molotov both have something to gain from preventing information about this terrible malfunction becoming known to the rest of the world. Logically, they both have a vested interest in ending this nightmare as quickly as possible. We're seeing a common, everyday power struggle. Instead of going to the government and deploying troops to destroy the hostile robots, arrest Petrov, or end this in some other way, Dr. Sessionov is doing everything he can to conceal this tragedy from everyone, including the government. P3 says the army would be too difficult logistically to send in. Like, he's doing that shit where you make a complete argument and he's like, but let's talk about an instance in this one specific thing you said. And ignore the entire full argument. Like, have you ever been on a fight on social media?
Oh my god, right? Then they just make up their own fucking world.
Yeah, he's doing it. And Charles tells him the facts, that only those personally close to Sessionov were sent in. Sessionov is doing everything he can to cover up the hostile malfunction with people he trusts like P3 so no one finds out. Charles asks P3, why do you think that is? P3 is quick to say that because if they open the doors, they'll take Collective away from Dr. Sessionov, and Dr. Sessionov has never done anything wrong in his life. Molotov wants to put Dr. Sessionov in jail so he can run Collective, now that the hard work building it is done. Charles says, yes, his goal is to run Collective, but Jesus Christ, man, come on. P3 is immediately stressed out and is like, I can't handle this. Charles lore dumps that Collective is a collective mind, and when humanity is connected to it, mankind will instantly know where everything everyone ever wanted to express is.
Oh, I don't like that.
In this singular collective, responsibility will be determined not by fear of consequences, but by awareness. The world may not be ready for the launch of Collective, and the leaders of the Soviet Union understand this, and that's why the party will have special discretionary power within Collective. And P3 says he thought they'd all be equals. You know, communism.
Right.
And Charles says, well, some will be more equal than others.
Oh, that's what true communism is.
Charles explains that everyone would be connected via their thought devices, but people with leadership roles may have advanced thought devices.
Oh, imagine that.
To give them priority access to certain things and functionality. There's one key to be used to determine who has priority access, and that person who has it is Dr. Sessionov. Molotov wants to kick Sessionov out of the facility so he can have sole authority over Collective and priority access. Charles also tacks on that the number of people killed here as a result of Petrov's betrayal is of precious little concern to Molotov. He simply wants to take control of Collective. That's why he's on the way here now. P3 says he never liked this guy, and he's got to head out and handle this shit. Stockhausen calls and warns P3 that Molotov has left Moscow and is actively on his way. P3 tells him to eat a bowl of spiders and leave him alone. P3 makes it to the VDNH exhibit and is greeted by a greeter bot, the non-hostile Tereskova bots. She launches into a welcome speech about the facility's dedication to Soviet excellence and P3 tells her to shut up. And he explains, the facility is covered in dead bodies, you freak.
She has toxic hospitality.
Bitch, that's a perfect way of putting it. But she explains it like this. My algorithm is glitching with horror, but I'm not programmed to experience horror, only positivity. The grotesque dissonance between my behavior and the gruesome surroundings grosses me out, but there's nothing I can do about it.
I can't even express it correctly.
She gracefully waves her arms like she's dancing ballet. Like, it's so fucking jarring.
Oh, God, it's showing that these AI do have a level of consciousness to them, too.
And they're not happy.
No.
P3 commands the helper robot to engage drill mode. She warns him that this will cause robots to act more hostile than before and may lead to the death of the surviving humans. P3 is rushing and is annoyed and tells her to, oh my god, just do it! The Tereshkova says that there are no other living humans in the facility, and yet P3 is unharmed. She takes this information and accuses him of being a robot and commands he prove his humanity before she activates drill mode and commands he take the Darwin test. And I wholeheartedly braced myself to just check a box. I was like, they have the opportunity to do the funniest fucking thing and say, pick out the pictures with the fire hydrant. Which of these images is a bridge, you know?
Right.
And it's just fetch quests.
Oh.
Which sucks. And I'm going to give you this moment, though. P3 declares himself a magnet for annoying bullshit. Which, when you're doing fetch quests on fetch quests, yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot reiterate how many fetch quests this, like, turns into a chain of. And Charles casually drops lore when he can, so you're at least like, all right, follow the dot, kill the robot, pick the thing up, walk the thing back. But you're getting some story.
You're getting entertained along the way.
Charles tells P3 that Dr. Sessionov's personal alpha connector is guarded by his twin ballerina robots. P3 says, he loves the way they move. It's so graceful. It reminds him of something he can't quite think of. But he knows it's something good. And that's not important. I just thought it was really cute that he's like, I like the ballerinas. I think they're pretty. I do want to say, also, just as a side note, this series of fetch quests really, like, slumped for me as a gamer. It felt like it was a continuous path of, like, get this, now get this, go get this, do this. A lot of, like, go into the ballerina, retrieve thing, unlock thing, whatever, and get back. You know what we're talking about. And my mission was to turn on the emergency alarm. And at some point, I found myself, like, rebuilding another robot from scratch. And he gets attacked by science experiments. We dipped into some more, like, Resident Evil type shit. It just really felt like this turned into a sub-game within the game.
Oh.
And it wasn't as good as the main game. Does that make sense?
I don't care for games that do that do side quests within side quests within side quests.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to shit on this game. I think there's a lot to enjoy about it. I think the world is fascinating. The art is incredible. I do want to give it that. Like, the world building and the world you're in is cool. The lore is interesting. My favorite game is an altered history, what if World War II came out differently game.
Right.
Of Wolfenstein, so maybe I have a soft spot. And I certainly, if someone enjoys this, I'm glad you do. I never want to yuck a yum, but Jesus goddamn Christ, this part was real repetitive for me. And I'd be remiss to not address that.
I mean, I am a vocal hater on fetch quests in general.
You are. You don't even, so, like, you can take out fetch quests. You a hater.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, hearing that this, like, descends into just, like, a series of fetch quests, that always just, for me, that is not entertaining gameplay.
Yeah. Engage me a little. P3 talks with Charles and asks if he thinks Larissa helped Petrov because she's in love with him or if there's another reason. Charles tells P3 that Larissa is a talented scientist and isn't stupid. She wouldn't blindly follow orders without justification, no matter who's giving them. P3 asks Charles if he's implying that people are turning on Dr. Sessionov, and if Dr. Sessionov is trying to get rid of people. And wasn't Petrov a traitor? This all feels messy. Charles is diplomatic and says, people whom the motherland has given everything must have serious reasons for betraying her.
Ooh.
But the bloody path Petrov has chosen is unacceptable. P3 calls Petrov a capitalist collaborator and says, fuck him. And Charles says, I couldn't agree more.
Fuck capitalism.
P3 catches up on his fetch quests and gets the drill activated to the facility. As this begins, Molotov enters the facility, along with several guards with guns.
Oh.
He's accompanied also by Stockhausen, who warns Molotov it's not really safe right now. And Molotov says he was told it was perfectly under control. Stockhausen stumbles over his words and says that Agent P3 took care of it, gesturing to P3, who's been spotted. Molotov says, okay, but look, I want you to look at this. The floors are literally covered in blood.
Oh.
And that's a pretty unimpeachable call out.
Yeah.
But Dr. Sessionov enters the conversation via hologram and claims, oh, that's just paint.
Uh-huh,
The
sure.
old, it's paint shtick.
Yeah, paint looks like that.
Molotov is sick of this shit and tells Dr. Sessionov, this is so annoying. Cut the shit. Dr. Sessionov plays it coy and goes, oh, what? Me? I don't know what you're talking about because I'm being so shy. Dr. Molotov is like, man, your local malfunction is actually a worldwide catastrophe. Your robots are in combat mode. Countless human casualties. Do I need to go on? Dr. Sessionov says he would actually like him to go on, but first, who reported the incident? Molotov says, it was Petrov, your engineer, an outstanding roboticist and honored citizen of the Soviet Union. Dr. Sessionov corrects him, saying, oh, no, that's what he used to be. Right now, he's prisoner 23-03-85.
Oh, no.
He's sentenced to community service at the Valvolov complex.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
You're like, he got off light.
Yeah.
Dr. Sessionov doesn't let on that P3 found Petrov decapitated.
Oh.
Molotov is sick of this shit and says, he's arrested by your order. You're in direct violation of Soviet law. As a minister, the Minister of Industry, you know the consequences. And here's the General's decree. The upcoming launch of Collective 2.0 neural network will be canceled, and you'll be the subject of a full-fledged investigation. Am I making myself clear? Dr. Sessionov is unflappable. He simply says, oh, Comrade Molotov, may I speak with you in private? Molotov asks him if he really thinks that'll change anything, but agrees to meet in 15 minutes. Dr. Sessionov tells Stockhauser to meet him at the landing pad, and Stockhauser slinks away to an elevator to meet him. Molotov pokes fun at P3's unwavering love for Dr. Sessionov, asking why he isn't in a hurry to see his master. P3 doesn't answer, but looks around nervously. He commands Molotov's people to lock the doors. The screen whites out. P3 wakes up in a cottage in the middle of a village with bright flowers and people wearing red with white polka dots. He hears a woman's voice saying, come to me, as he explores the whimsical world. The inhabitants are frozen in time, and there's something falling from the sky into the ground on the road. The woman's voice begs, find me, my love, find me. P3 explores crashing planes and army men in red with white polka dots everywhere. His strange dream concludes as he hears the woman's voice telling him to wake up. P3 wakes up and hears Dr. Sessionov find him, saying, oh, you're alive. Dr. Stockhausen calls back to Dr. Sessionov, alerting him that it looks like all of Molotov's men are dead. P3's vision is blurry, but he adjusts back to reality. Molotov's body is lying face down on the floor, dead.
Holy shit.
Dr. Sessionov's twin ballerina bots enter the room, observing the massacre. P3 asks what happened here and who did this. Sessionov says, I guess the robots got in. You were fortunate to escape unharmed. Stockhausen confirms out loud that, yep, everyone here's dead except for P3. That's weird.
Very, very strange. Who whited it out?
Dr. Sessionov says, look, this is tragic. But it changes nothing. Collective must still be activated.
Of course.
P3 looks down at the bodies, absolutely pouring blood, like someone cut them open and let all the wet stuff out.
Ew.
Stockhausen asks what they should do about the dead political member. Dr. Sessionov says, well, doesn't have a lot of options, and tells one of his twin ballerina robots, right, to handle it. The other one is named Left. They're named Left and Right. He tells Stockhausen to head to the radio station and make sure that the power to the government line has been cut. He's going to personally inform the Politburo of what happened to Molotov. Right ballerina picks up Molotov's hand and drags him through the room. P3 watches the ballerina do this, and his vision begins to blur again. Sessionov tells Left to help Right with the body. Dr. Sessionov turns his attention to P3, asking how he's doing. P3 can't really see straight and tells him, I'm doing really bad. I keep failing you. It's too much. As P3 focuses on Dr. Sessionov, his vision comes back to full capacity. Dr. Sessionov tells P3, "This whole thing is too much for all of us. It sucks, I get it." He turns to watch as the twin ballerina bots stand facing each other. They lean forward and intertwine their fingers, holding hands and leaning facing each other. The left ballerina opens a hole in its face, and several tentacles come out and bond together to form a horn.
Why?
She kneels and plunges her horn into right ballerina's stomach, and then stands, cutting her open.
What the?
Inside of the right ballerina twin is swirling pure polymer. Left plunges her hand inside right and pulls out a short angled case, similar in size to a pencil holder. They float the item between their hands together and open it to reveal 2 keys. Left and right each take a key and plunge them simultaneously into a piece of machinery in the room. The machinery appears to activate a ceramic bathtub full of blood-looking goop. From the bathtub, a man's naked body is fully formed, floats out of the tub, and then hovers above Molotov's dead body.
Whoa.
The blood goop man aligns his limbs with Molotov, and they float and meet each other loose in the air. The blood goop man enters Molotov and slips and slides his way through the corpse. It snaps and cracks into place as it envelops Molotov.
Oh.
The blood goop man rises above with Molotov deep inside of it and then dives back into the bathtub. Left and right remove their keys, and the bathtub begins to drain. As it does, Molotov's skeleton and clothes are revealed as all that's left of him.
What the fuck did this just do?
There has to be a better way of disposing bodies.
They barely disposed of it.
P3 asks what the fuck that was, and Dr. Sessionov says, "That is a tribute to the departed." You burned a body in front of me.
What?
And when they did this on Breaking Bad, it was in a barrel, which at least contained it. Stockhausen returns from the radio station worried, saying, "Okay, the central hub is broadcasting. Someone is trying to send information to the west, and there's only 2 people who have the authority to do it. You and Petrov." P3 interrupts, saying, "Well, Petrov's dead. I saw his body. His head was off of it." Dr. Sessionov turns to P3 and clarifies. And to be clear, that was just his body because, if we think about it, Petrov is first and foremost a head. He reminds P3 that Larissa, his accomplice, is a world-class neurosurgeon.
Oh my god, are we doing Wolfenstein 2 again?
And anything is possible.
Oh dear god. That was my biggest fear when you said that they took the head. I was like, don't Wolfenstein 2 this. It only works once. Oh no. Again, not an original fucking idea amongst the entire team.
They said it in Russia.
That is about it.
I like the old lady John Wick.
Yeah, no, she's
Granny
cool.
Azina is great, and I am clinging to her as my favorite thing about this game. She's fantastic. Her dialogue isn't clunky. She's inexplicably British.
Yeah.
Why not? Dr. Sessionov asks Stockhausen if he's tracked his signal. He says, Petrov is masking his signal, but he's got to be in one of the science centers. The whole fucking city is a science center.
Yeah.
Dr. Sessionov and Stockhausen turn in unison to P3. Dr. Sessionov says, "Did you hear that, my boy? Go find him right now." Dutiful as ever, P3 silently goes to the elevator and begins his newest mission. Alone, P3 asks what the fuck just happened? What killed Molotov and what killed the team and what left him alive? Charles has no idea. He says that when P3 lost consciousness, it was like he'd been struck by behind, and when that happened, he got disabled. P3 asks about the blood goop man, and Charles says, "Oh, that's red neuropolymer data storage."
Huh?
P3 asks how it's data storage, and what do you mean it's fucking data storage? Charles insists that P3 asked Dr. Sessionov himself, but kind of implies that the goop is data storage for dead bodies.
This game is so bizarre.
He also warns that Professor Zakharov died the same way. The goop. P3 says, "That's fucking nuts. I really thought the polymer was harmless. I'm not going to do anything with this information."
Yeah.
P3 does ask why the blood goop was shaped like a man, and Charles says Dr. Sessionov did that to make it look more agile and move more independently, because it knows how people move, so it's like, I got this.
And we needed that.
And it's also essentially a security measure. The data will follow Dr. Sessionov and be loyal to him as the ballerina twins are. And P3 doesn't really understand any of this, so Charles pushes him a little bit. He asks, okay, why would a neuropolymer substance capable of dissolving a human being in a matter of seconds need to be able to move independently? P3 has suffered so many head wounds, this takes him a minute, and then he's like, oh, shit on a shingle, which is an insane saying. Shit on a shingle.
Oh, he actually said that.
Yeah, he says that. This is all verbatim. Give me a second. Let me cook. Shit on a shingle. You're telling me that Jelly Man can sneak up behind someone and kill them instantly without leaving a trace. That's a crazy thing to say.
The Jelly Man.
The Jelly Man. Shit on a shingle. The Jelly Man can stealth kill? And Charles gives him a non-answer and says, you know, this does remind me of that person who died under mysterious circumstances and without witnesses after slipping and falling in a bathtub. They talk a bit about how Dr. Sessionov can use the Jelly Man and the twins for security, but P3 doesn't understand why he would need security. This is also a real thing P3 says. He says, Dr. Sessionov is a hero of the Soviet Union. Everyone loves him. Why would anyone want to hurt him?
Oh my god.
You think there's people out there that are jealous and want to get rid of him? And, like, it's so just like, my dad can beat up your dad.
Yeah. My doctor's the better doctor.
Charles reasons that it's just more likely that people want power over collective. If you rule the world, it's hardly surprising if people want to take your throne. Very powerful people. I promise it's not because people don't like Dr. Sessionov. People like Dr. Sessionov, you fucking dork.
Yeah, it's not about liking. It's about power. It's always about power.
But P3's like, that's my best friend.
But he's so nice.
They talk a bit about Petrov's communication attempt at the West, and that he's got to be using the secret government line that usually Dr. Sessionov has sole access to. Charles figures Petrov is impersonating Dr. Sessionov. Petrov is actually like this brilliant programmer, but with Collective 2.0, programming will become obsolete. Everything will be neuroconnected. There's no need for binary code in anything. P3 figures that pissed him off, and he wanted to fuck shit up while he still could, which also feels like an insane motive.
Right.
Oh no, I'm being forced into retirement. I'm gonna kill everyone.
I'm being made obsolete. Oh no.
P3 really didn't get past major. He like found his niche and was like, this is where I'm at.
I'm good here.
I'm not a detective. Charles cites that, among other reasons for Petrov popping off, there's a lot going on, but P3 doesn't let him explain further. P3 calls Petrov a traitor to the motherland, and they figure out where exactly Petrov must be. They head off to the computational center, and P3 finds Larissa and Petrov working on a computer. He steps out and says, look what we got here. And as he does, a robot comes up behind P3. P3 knocks it out, and Petrov tases P3, knocking P3 out.
Oh no.
This is so embarrassing for P3. He rolls up, he's like, you faked your death. And to be clear, Petrov faked his death. This is not a Wolfenstein situation.
Okay, good.
Yeah. He's like, you motherfucker, I caught you. I got you. A robot pops up. He's like, I'm a hero. Let me punch the robot. Gets tased, down immediately. Just sucking grass.
Ugh.
Larissa screams, you killed him. And Petrov corrects her saying, I just knocked him out. He's fucking alive. Look at him.
Yeah, it's probably like his 5th time today, though.
Yeah, oh, he's so concussed. While he's knocked out, they strap P3 to a table. Larissa furiously types into a computer while Petrov paces, coding Hamlet's to be or not to be, frantically. Petrov stops and says, Larissa, I don't get it. He's ruined everything. She doesn't break her focus and says simply, I'm a doctor. Enough people have died today. Petrov yells, people, Larissa. This is an animal. He's an attack dog. He'll rip anyone's throat out if Sessionov tells him to. P3's eyes start to twitch, but he doesn't open them yet. Larissa reasons with Petrov, saying, he's tied up. I'll program a treatment, then we'll go. Petrov asks, where? Where can we go? This lunatic ruined our escape plan. Larissa's annoyed and she says, oh my God, we'll come up with something. With his eyes still closed, P3 says, I doubt it. You just let me go and I promise I'll make it quick and painless. Which I know he thinks he sounds so cool. He is strapped to a table, baby. You are not in a position to threaten people.
Not right now.
Petrov uses this as a direct example and says, Larissa, he just woke up and he's already threatening us. P3 is flattered by this and says, yeah, I am threatening you. How many people have your robots slaughtered without so much as a warning? 2,000? 3,000? 4,000? He's
just gonna keep counting.
Just really impressed he knows the numbers. Larissa defends Petrov, saying, this wasn't his fault. This was a local malfunction. P3 laughs and says, okay, well, if it's a local malfunction, how come your boyfriend doesn't have a scratch on him? Now, this is a good point. Petrov goes to P3 and asks what the fuck he's talking about. P3 is extremely smug as he says, oh my god, isn't it obvious? First Vavilov, then VDNH, the robots are attacking everyone except for you two. Why is that if you're not controlling them? There's a long silence, and Larissa looks up from her screen. She tells Petrov, you said you had nothing to do with this. P3, who again is fully tied up, laughs loudly and says, and you believed him?
You dummy.
Girl, he is gaslighting you.
Don't believe the bad guy.
He asks, what other bullshit did you let this man tell you? Petrov turns and tells Larissa, no, I had no choice. A simple malfunction wouldn't have changed anything. Larissa is shaking furious. The only words she can pull together are, how could you? She turns and then Petrov grabs her arm and throws her back around to face him, which is a little aggressive for me.
Yeah.
He says, how could I? You said it yourself. The world was going to end. Larissa just says, don't touch me, and runs off. Alone with Petrov, P3 starts laughing at him again. He says, oh my god, you really didn't tell her anything, did you? Big mistake.
Huge.
Petrov picks up a chair to hit P3, but puts it down and chases after Larissa. Alone, P3 deploys the Spiderbot to cut himself free, and he gets out of bed. Hell yeah, Spiderbot. P3 radios into Dr. Sessionov and reports that Petrov is alive, but slipped away. Dr. Sessionov is disappointed and commands that P3 find the criminal now. Charles says, ooh, you really pissed him off. And P3 tells Charles, no shit, get off my grill. And it's the delivery that really sells this game as a real slice of life in 1955. While he's chasing Petrov, P3 gets a call from Petrov himself. Petrov is mad that P3 turned Larissa against him. P3 says, I don't give two wet farts about your relationship.
Here's the thing about P3.
He says wet farts?
He says wet farts, crispy critters, and fucking shit hell, goddamn it. Like, there are times where he's a fucking kindergarten teacher who happens to be thrown into some extreme circumstances, and there's other times where he's a goddamn sailor like you and me.
Yeah, he's the kind of person that goes, what the heck is that little shitbag saying? Like,
yeah.
You're driving down the middle of the road. Pick a lane, babe. Like, what is happening?
The choices and when he curses and when he doesn't and his alternatives to cursing are so bizarre.
I don't give two wet farts about your relationship. That's a real quote. They submitted that. They said, that's the take. We're going to put that in the game. Make sure to get the captions right so everyone can see. In all languages we've localized. I don't give two wet farts about your relationship.
Like, a wet queef would have been better.
Dalawa o tot.
I don't know what that meant.
Two farts. My Tagalog is very bad. Charles traces the call to a theater, and P3 calls him a clown. Charles is concerned about P3's recent head wounds and clarifies the difference between a theater and a circus. And P3 does not understand this joke, which is, it proves how bad his head wound is.
His brain is scrambled eggs.
He's really like, you're at a theater, you fucking clown with your elephants and shit. And he's, Charles is like, homie, what?
He is established. He remembers nothing before the war.
Are you thinking of the word tent? They arrive at the theater, but it's being guarded by a really big robot. It's a massive one like the one that attacked him when he met Granny Zima. It kicks out a nice boss battle with a beautiful grassy arena and lots of room to maneuver. They only really get tighter from here, so I appreciated this and then went, oh no, I miss it. Oh no, space. That would have been great. P3 goes to the theater, which is completely trashed. Charles can't find a signal for Petrov, but will track as soon as he can. Charles tells P3 this theater had some of the most talented ballerinas in the entire Soviet Union. But they all got replaced by robots.
I love that it is showing that, yeah, robots will just replace us across the board, not just like menial tasks. entertainment, just fucking everything.
Truly everything.
I think I saw a report today that there is an AI country star topping the charts right now.
What the fuck?
That is today.
What do you mean?
I know, it's fucking disgusting.
Oh, we got a truck and I don't give a fuck. Let me do it. Give me the money. I got you. I'm a real ass person and I got bills to pay.
Exactly, right?
Charles gives P3 some history and says, the robot ballerinas became so popular, tickets became hard to get and crazy expensive when compared to the human performances.
They were more popular.
And P3 doesn't appreciate the artistic advancements or decline of the situation. He just goes, so this place is for the rich and powerful.
Oh my god.
Ignoring the commentary. Here's my thing. I realize I do kind of ride for silent protagonists sometimes.
And you see why.
I remembered, I was like, man, Isaac would never do this to me in Dead Space. I weirdly sat there and was like, Isaac Clarke, he knows when to shut the fuck up.
The talking version and the silent version.
Yeah, he'd at least just go, shit, god damn it, and then move on with his life. Charles does correct P3 and says, okay, so the theater is for rich and powerful, but it's also a scientific center. The scientists have been studying robot behavior and people's reactions to the robots, which is horrific.
Yeah.
And Charles warns P3 that Petrov knows his way around the theater very well. Petrov taunts P3 through the theater, calling P3 a dog and telling him to kindly obey orders.
Would you kindly?
Shut the fuck up. Stockhausen calls for a check-in on Petrov and confirms Larissa's not with him. P3 tells Stockhausen to shut up and stop annoying me with your existence. And then he says, fuck you, as he hangs up on Stockhausen.
Good.
He hates him so much.
Deservedly so.
Charles, sympathetic, tells P3 to simply not be like this. Stockhausen is literally trying to help. P3 says, oh, he's genuinely trying to steal Petrov's woman. He's out here just like gossiping on this man. Also, that's not what's happening. He's just bored and wants to talk shit. While sneaking around, P3 hears Petrov explaining desperately, I had to do it. Sechenov is going to kill us all. He's toying with us. But you can't really blame him for that, I suppose. Madness and great ones must not unwatched go. Which is, that's some loopy shit.
That is not the best way to say that phrase.
You are fucking loopy.
Whatever you were trying to convey, you could have said it better.
Bad. As P3 closes in on Petrov, Petrov pleads that all he wanted was to be happy with his woman. He asks P3 if he was ever happy with his, if he even knows what happiness is. Charles and P3 get alone and they gig and gag. P3 decides that Petrov got dumped by Larissa. Statistically, that's the most likely scenario.
Yeah.
I love when the AI is like, oh, he just got fucking dumped. P3 asks about the ballerinas, and Charles explains robosexuality, a sexual preference for androids.
Oh my god.
Charles explains that the robots here at the theater are very popular and can be rented by the hour, essentially.
Oh my god. So, like, they can fuck the ballerinas?
Well, they're not right now. The ballerinas are on a killing spree.
Yeah,
the only non-murdery ballerinas are Sechenov's that are his personal bodyguards.
In theory.
Yes, in theory, you could fuck the ballerinas. P3 says, well, based on Dr. Sechenov's choice of bodyguard, he might be a robosexual. Because I think the twins are fucking hot. Which I don't... I don't think he needs to have this conversation with a glove.
Did he see the part where, like, they got split open and their faces came apart?
Oh,
like,
yeah, he was locked in. He was like, this is fucking crazy. What's happening?
You should not be turned on at that point.
How many head injuries do you think it would take you to want to fuck a toaster?
Oh, God.
Like 2?
As many as he's had, at least.
Okay, so like 8?
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot. The theater is dripping in infected sprout heads and hostile robots and gore and art. And I'm going to be so real. It's truly difficult, like physically difficult to not see Sanders Cohen seeping into the scenes like he's goddamn gaudy wallpaper. One puzzle has P3 moving robot ballerinas around to reenact death scenes to unlock access through the level. It is unfucking real.
Oh my god, at least you're not snapping pictures along the way.
This is Paul World for Bioshock. P3 finds Petrov in the clear center stage with his tracked robots used to build out scenes for choreography. They're flat, faceless pieces of metal that raise and lower their arms, kind of like animatronics from Disneyland, but with no design on them. They're just kind of blockers. P3 calls him a fuckhead and says the show's over. Which, again, he volleys between actual cool guy lines to bonkers shit he's saying, like, I don't give a wet fart about your boyfriend. Petrov says, oh, there you are. Always breathing down my neck. Petrov doesn't even turn and raises and lowers his arms, dancing now with his robots. Petrov says, she dumped me. Unbelievable. I don't know where she is. Maybe she's dead. What about Molotov? He didn't believe Sechenov, did he? P3 tells Petrov that Molotov is dead, and Petrov says, yeah, that makes sense. Collective will activate, and that's the end of everything. Without a drop of irony, P3 out loud asks Petrov, what's wrong with people controlling robots with their mind?
So much.
Didn't you invent this, you prick? And like, yeah, he invented to call him out on that, but you're just like, what's wrong with controlling the robots with our mind? You know, that's gonna be a great idea, you fucking moron.
I'm sure it won't have any lasting consequences.
This'll be fine. Petrov stops dancing and shoots back, saying, I had no idea what Sechenov was planning to do with it. P3 says, unlike you, he wasn't planning on killing anybody. Petrov laughs and explains that P3 is a fucking moron. He didn't launch code to the robots to make them kill everyone. Think about it. Combat mode was always in the robot coding since the initial design phase.
Why?
No one expected combat mode to be activated here in the Soviet Union. Sechenov has something way worse planned, and he has to be stopped. P3 demand Petrov say how to disable combat mode, and Petrov just straight up flips him off. And he's doing this while he's like gracefully dancing between his robots. Like he's loopy as fuck, but he's like, fuck you, P3. He says today was supposed to be a special day. He was going to propose the day Collective launches, and he was going to do it in this theater. Petrov tosses a ring box to P3 and says, hey, give this to Larissa. P3 catches it, and Petrov raises his arms out and allows a robot to decapitate him.
What the fuck?
For real this time.
Oh my god.
P3 does not see the poetic parallel of this and is just fucking mad. All he sees is another bring me back alive command that he fucking failed.
With the same guy.
The same guy in the same way. He's like, I have to tell this man. I already lied to him and told him he got decapitated, and then I found him and then he got decapitated. I look crazy.
But at least I have his head this time.
Yeah, he's like, well, I can bring the evidence back. P3 calls Dr. Sechenov to tell him the bummer-ass news that Petrov killed himself in a very creative way. And he calls it a very creative way, although I would argue not, because he literally did this not that long ago.
It's a little derivative, like the whole fucking game.
I'm just saying it's been done before. And if that phrase comes to mind at any other point in this game, drop a like. I don't fucking know. I can appreciate in a sense, though, that P3 does admire and call out creativity when he sees it in a world full of AI.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm
trying to be nice. Dr. Sechenov tells P3 to protect Petrov's head and sends a drone with a special head container to P3.
Oh, that now will Wolfenstein his ass.
You've seen Wolfenstein, right? But it's essentially the Wolfenstein tube. You can visualize it.
I'm kind of am.
P3 loads up the head, and a container with head is added to P3's inventory.
Into his inventory.
It's quiet for a moment. Then the theater robotics kick in and announce a show for a robot named Natasha.
Ooh.
P3 is trapped in the theater and has to fight Natasha, who's shaped and sized around like a slightly taller Baymax from Big Hero 6.
Okay, so a bigger lady.
She's sturdy. She gives a decent boss battle in this round, and it is a tighter space to work with. It feels like it, at least. After this fight, P3 gets a call from Sechenov. He asks if P3 searched Petrov's body and if he found any rings. P3 says he didn't have anything on him when he died. Sechenov tells P3 to report to the Pavlov complex at once. Charles checks in with P3, who is defensive and upset. P3 is exhausted and says, look, I'm losing my shit. I failed Sechenov again. I have Petrov's head in a jar, and that's fucking weird, and I don't like that.
It's in my inventory.
Literally, no one in the history of video games has ever carried a head around. Not Juliet Sterling from Lollipop Chainsaw, not Kratos from God of War, not Garcia Hotspur from Shadows of the Damned. one. Not a single other instance in history has this happened.
It's only me.
Also, the big robot in the theater, that sucked. I'm straight up not having a good time. But you know what grinds my gears? Those rings. Petrov threw me those rings, and I'm mad about it, and I don't know why. I only hyperbolized part of that.
Only a little.
But that's the general gist, and Charles confronts P3 to a point, saying, there, Major, whatever you say. Which is such
the most condescending way of doing this.
They straight up do not like each other.
Like, went on a full dissertation and then just ends with, okay.
I had to look up the Shadows of the Damned head inventory situation. I was like, I can name 2 off the dome, but it's weird that it's happened this many times, you know?
Yeah.
Stockhausen, who again, P3 also fucking hates, calls and says he's waiting for him in the Pavlov complex and suggests P3 take a car between complexes because the infected sprout corpses are running rampant. Stockhausen asked if P3 found 2 gold rings on Petrov. One should say Beta 1 and the other one Beta 2. P3 says, no, Petrov didn't have any rings on him, and he just hangs up because he doesn't even have the energy to cuss out Stockhausen here. P3 simply, I think that part of him kind of forgets that he has these rings because his knee-jerk is not even to think about it. He's immediately like, nope, never seen a ring before. What's that? Couldn't tell ya.
What's this? Oh, it's a ring.
P3 heads out to the Pavlov complex, and Granny Xena calls to check up on him. He's honest with her in a way that he's simply not with anyone else, Charles included. He tells her he's had better days, but at least he's in one piece. She just wants to gossip, and she heard P3 finally got that bastard Petrov. P3 admits he didn't even pull the trigger. Petrov killed himself in front of him. She's reassuring, and she says, well, sweetie, if you got his head, that means this will all be over soon, and you can get some sleep. P3 asks if he can come over for some tea, and she is warm and welcoming. She says, of course, Sonny, anytime. Hey, by the way, you didn't happen to find any engraved gold rings on Petrov, did you?
Oh my god, still with the rings.
He tells her, no, Petrov didn't have anything on him. And she says, oh, that's okay. You just watch yourself, Sonny, and you stop by the hut if you need anything. After the call ends, Charles calls P3 the fuck out. He's like, hey man, why are you being so fucking weird about the rings? Everyone's asking about them, and you've lied to everyone. Like, genuinely every single person you know. P3 reveals, hey, I'm a major, but I'm not a major, dumbass.
Oh, yes, you are. Especially for saying that.
I said that one. Let me take that one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Listen here, crispy critter. Everyone deceived me, even Dr. Seshnov. I didn't see it coming. I just thought about what Petrov said to me. Charles gets a cold shot ready in his little dead robot hands and says, would you kindly be more specific?
Oh, no, he does not.
I yelled at the TV. I'm going to let you know right now. I just was like,
there are certain phrases that other games own.
He's heading to the Pavlovian complex, and all I heard was, would you kindly? And somehow, I'm back on our couch in our Denver apartment, surrounded by soda cans and candy wrappers, going, I live in rapture now. And you going, oh no, you're different.
Yep.
You're a different person.
Your life is different now.
P3 explains, Petrov said that the robots had combat mode programmed into them during construction. He couldn't possibly have reprogrammed them all by himself. And that's true. Petrov was a pussy. He's a programmer, not a fighter. And I want to be clear. He says pussy. I didn't call someone a pussy.
Okay.
But these robots know how to fight. He couldn't have programmed that because he doesn't fucking know how to fight. That Natasha robot I fought had a fucking missile. How did it get the fucking missile? That's a construction robot.
That's fair.
Petrov is a sick shithead. That fucking truth lover. He calls him a truth lover as a slur.
Is it bad to like the truth?
So much blood spilled because he made the sprouts mutate. He did that. P3 has valid points. He's like, fuck this is awful. But then he's like, this guy loves the truth. And that makes him a piece of shit. And you're like, oh no.
This truth spilling fucking asshole.
This guy who's committed to honesty is a piece of shit. And you're like, dude, take a step back. Charles checks P3 real quick and says, look, hold up. I highly doubt that Petrov had such a result in mind. He's not a geneticist or a plant breeder. He could not have foreseen all the consequences of the malfunction, especially with the sprouts. And P3 says, okay, well then why did he do it? And I wrote this in my notes that this exchange feels very uncles on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think I'll leave it at that, and you'll get my whole vibe about how these two are interacting.
I feel that.
P3 says, so many people are dead, and the ones with the sprouts for heads have to get killed twice. First by the robots, and then by me. Which feels insane.
That's how zombies work.
Charles says, morally speaking, Petrov's actions cannot be justified. We are in complete agreement in that regard. P3 takes this little inch and goes, yeah, fuck Petrov, he's dead. I feel bad for all those people. I stayed in the service after the war to stop this kind of thing from happening again, and now, this sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, why does everyone want these fucking rings so bad? They're not even cute. Charles says, okay, 1, the rings are the beta connectors. The beta connectors allow their user to tap into the collective undetected, completely untraceable.
Oh.
The wearer can connect into the wealth of knowledge, but not be affected by any restrictions or regulations on users from the collective. They could control robots, know everything going on in the collective, but not be detected or tracked. And 2, that makes them very powerful. P3 asks Charles about global politics. He says the US is constantly introducing sanctions against the civilian robots, and asks Charles if the US suspects the Soviet Union of anything. Charles confirms the US government clearly has suspicions, or at the very least concerns. The US didn't have any reason to be concerned, but that's why Petrov kicked off the malfunction, to show the civilian robots have a combat function. P3 says, okay, right, but the Americans don't know about that, so what are the sanctions for? Charles lays it the fuck out and says, the American government is using the sanctions to find a middle ground between the needs of the capitalists and the growing discontent of the working class.
Yeah. That's like today.
That's like today.
Something we're just going through right now.
And P3 isn't an intellectual, so he has to like dumb it down for himself. So he's like, so the American working stiffs want to get our robots banned because the bots are taking their jobs. And the capitalists want to get more robots so they can get rid of the workers once and for all. And Charles is like, oh my God, girl, you're getting it. Yes. The American government is feeling pressure from both sides. So the sanctions remain moderate without banning robots entirely. They merely set quotas on importing them. P3 takes this global trade issue personally.
He takes it personally. Okay.
He gets so mad. He's like, okay, so why does the Soviet Union give a shit about American sanctions? Why would we care what those Yanks do with the working class? And like, I kind of get that he's like, but that doesn't affect me, so why would I give a shit?
Yeah.
P3 hauls Petrov's dead head to the Pavlov labs so they can run some research on his noggin. And I think at this point, Charles is just like, dude, leave me alone. I'm in a glove. I can't solve your problems. The Pavlov labs are fucking ravaged with robots and polymer monsters here. Many are shaped like humans with arms and legs, but they're made out of like veins of polymer and they're just wrecking house.
Ew.
P3 is like, hey man, what the fuck is going on here? Charles explains that this is a morgue. The bodies of the dead are held for studying. These bodies are from volunteers that died in human science experiments. Sometimes volunteers die and their bodies are studied to prevent further deaths. P3 asks why they can't use people on death row, and then immediately feels bad because he remembers that he's a person and that every person on this planet is a person that is full of complexity and love and hate and sadness and joy. And then he just feels bad.
Yeah. And he should for even remotely suggesting it.
Yeah, that's fucking horrific. Charles simply tells him, there are some things far worse than what you see here. Sometimes the deaths of volunteers can lead to a breakthrough that saves millions of lives. This is how the vaccine for the brown plague was developed. And I'm going to remind you, this game came out in 2023.
Okay.
So whatever vaccine connections you make with this game, it's post-2020.
Yep.
P3 is just really upset. He doesn't know how to process how he feels and where his loyalties are. He just says, how could Dr. Sessionov do this? He's a good guy. He saved me during surgery. But now we have an army of robots. We have killer sprout mutants, polymer monsters, and thousands of innocent victims. This facility's fucked up. I want to retire. Charles tells P3 his negative energy is affecting his code, which is such a wild way to be like, you're such a bummer. I'm a computer and you got me fucked up. P3 tells him to shut up, find a waypoint, and stay out of his head. And like, this is when I'm like, this is my turning point. I don't think I like P3.
No.
I spent hours with him, and he's mostly just angry and disrespectful of those around him. And like, a silent protagonist allows you to only hear your own thoughts on the world you're exploring. And I don't think I care for his commentary, and maybe it's our political alignments, maybe it's his weird aggressive energy and how he's mostly a prick to everyone, including dead people. But I was like, this isn't my hero.
That's okay. Not every hero needs to be likable.
Absolutely. And there was a massive disconnect between me and P3. The fighting is fun.
Okay, good.
That's the thing is like the combat is enjoyable and it is fun to play with. I love Bioshock. I'm playing with plasmids. I'm freezing people and then breaking them open with a melee weapon.
Yeah.
Shit like that. That's enjoyable gameplay. But then he opens his mouth and it feels like I'm dating again. And I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. And then you say the craziest shit. And I'm like, oh no, it's just going to be you and your glove tonight, babe.
Yep. Left and right are going to be your best friends.
Oh, say hi to the twins for me. P3 finds a lab with a bunch of nightmares inside. Red polymer drips from creatures suspended in stasis. Charles tells him these are experiments of recreating animals with polymer and making them able to live in hostile conditions like on other planets with higher or lower gravity. Charles explains they don't have any brain activity and they can't move. They're just shells ready to go. P3 looks in awe at the massive animals. It's shit like moose, bears, hippos, all sorts of big boys. This isn't relevant. I just really wanted to tell you there's a big ass like polymer moose and it's fucking terrifying.
I was going to say a giant moose. Like moose in general are huge and terrifying.
They're always bigger than you expect them to be.
So much bigger than you expect them. They're like semi-truck large.
We saw one in Colorado and it was terrifying.
Yeah.
The entire town was like, get the fuck inside. P3 finds the lab and enters it with Petrov's head in a jar. Stockhausen is waiting for him with the ballerina twins at his side. P3 holds up Petrov's head and Stockhausen looks down at it. A surreal moment, seeing someone he knew's head in a jar. Left ballerina takes the head and places it in a device. Stockhausen explains that Dr. Sessionov has a method of extracting memories, so they won't lose all of Petrov's knowledge. Lefty activates the device, and we hear footsteps running down the hall. Petrov's head is surrounded by red goop, and Stockhausen says, we'll be able to return the robots to their previous state once the assimilation process is complete. We see the person running down the hallway is Larissa. She enters the lab and says, he's already dead, you creep. Keep your hands off of him. Stockhausen turns in time to see Larissa throw a grenade his way.
Hell yeah.
It goes off and the room is full of smoke and darkness. Red polymer crawls across the floor towards Stockhausen. P3 is thrown and lands on the ground. His eyes fill with white and he's thrown into a dream state. He hears echoes of Dr. Sessionov saying P3 hasn't slept in 3 days. He hears himself answer that he doesn't want to sleep. P3 is in a hallway. The doors open to the sky and then close abruptly. He sees dead bodies, blood, hanging bodies outside the window. There's chairs and gurneys and medicine everywhere like he's in a nightmare infirmary. The ground becomes flowers and grass and gravity stops working. The floor moves from below P3 to beside him to above him without his perspective changing. The world is jumbled and strange here. Dr. Sessionov's voice talks about science and light and dark, how his brother was afraid of the dark, so his mother left a light on for him, but the light interfered with his creativity. Sessionov talks about how he hates children's books because of all the color, how he loved science books because they're full of facts, no fluff. P3 crawls through a window and sees his arms are fluffy gray paws. He hears a woman's voice asking where he is and telling him to come and find her. P3 wakes up in the demolished lab. The lights are sparking and he's not happy. P3 asks Charles what happened, and Charles says Larissa hid before the explosion, and Stockhausen was knocked into a vat of polymer and died.
Oh.
The twins are nowhere to be found. P3 starts exploring and gets a call from Larissa. She asks if P3 is still alive, and he tells her, no, I got killed by a grenade. To her credit, Larissa does apologize for the grenade, but then says, okay, but none of that matters now, which is a terrible way to end apologies. P3 calls her a crispy-ass critter.
Jesus. At least he threw a little ass in
He
there.
threw some ass in there. We love a little thrown ass. Larissa says, you need to meet with me now. You need to see all of this with your own eyes. I'll show you everything. You trust Sessionov too much, but he's keeping you in the dark. You have no idea what's really going on, and you need to see it with your own eyes to believe it.
I would really like it if P3 completely misinterprets, I'm going to show you everything.
He's like, oh, we're gonna fuck.
Yeah.
I know a robot if you want to get really freaky. She wants to suck my dick. P3 agrees because he has no fucking idea what's going on. Larissa tells him to meet at a lighthouse. Because there's always a lighthouse. There's always a man.
Oh my god, is there seriously a fucking lighthouse?
There's always a city.
Oh, lordy, it just keeps going. They're relentless with the Bioshock references. This is insanity.
Booker DeWitt heads out to the lighthouse. Because what the fuck else is he doing?
P3, catch.
It's just a cigarette.
Yeah.
A lit cigarette. He's like, all right, I might as well. A dead whale is on the beach, and from its stomach bursts a massive hydraulic pump robot.
Sure.
And it sets its sights on P3.
The fuck?
One boss battle later, and this one did feel a lot more claustrophobic. P3 is exhausted, but sees the lighthouse. Charles says, P3, there are more robots that are even more powerful out there. And P3 says, there's none here, though. And Charles checks his ass, saying, I mean, not yet, but once Collective launches, they're going to be everywhere, and you will have 2 beta connectors capable of keeping them off the radar. A lot more blood is about to be shed. Get up and get your shit together. P3 says, oh my god, you guys on the rings are driving me crazy. I hate you all. Annoyed, P3 pulls out the ring box that Petrov gave him before he died. The box is a small clear cube with 2 gold bands floating around each other. P3 looks at them for a moment, and then chucks them into the water.
What the fuck?
He's just like unceremoniously like, nah, fuck this shit, I'm out. Charles says, good decision, comrade. I have no doubt that saved lives. Perhaps more than I imagined. P3 is pleased and heads into the lighthouse to meet Larissa. As he heads up, several drones pull up ready to shoot him, but then they pause. P3 is curious, and Dr. Sessionov radios in to say, the access code has been successfully extracted from Petrov's head. Combat mode has been disabled, and the robots have returned to their normal status.
Oh, hell yeah.
He congratulates P3 and says, everyone who is able to hide and survive owes you their lives. I'm so proud of you, my boy. P3 thanks him and asks him what to do now. Sessionov commands P3 to go back to the city, get a medical evaluation, and take some leave.
Get your fucking head checked out, man. You've had 19 concussions.
I am begging you for a CAT scan just for the science of it all. Your shit is fucked up.
Oh my god. Earlier we were complaining that you hadn't slept in 3 days. As of right now, you shouldn't sleep for 3 days.
We need the swelling to come down before you do anything.
Do not sleep after the number of times you've been concussed.
You need some Tylenol. P3 confirms he's on his way. Charles asks P3 why he didn't bring up meeting Larissa, and P3 says, well, he wants to see the evidence she told him about, and right now he's not going to tell Sessionov. P3 climbs into the lighthouse, and Charles says he doesn't notice anyone here. This lighthouse looks lived in. There's books, a bed, a bathroom, a bathysphere. Just regular human stuff for lighthouses.
A giant bust of Andrew Ryan.
Pair of philosophy twins fighting over shit. He finds a room with a TV and a chair and sits down. P3 says, you know, this isn't what I was expecting. Charles says, well, what were you expecting? I suspect this room serves a very specific function. The TV starts playing a cartoon, and then the floor begins to go down.
Oh.
The room was an entire elevator, and it's moving fast underground, much to P3's surprise. All right, so recap what is happening for me right now.
So we're inside of a lighthouse descending.
The elevator goes down under the water.
Oh, God.
And P3 looks through a clear wall at the city underneath the ocean.
Get the fuck out of here. There's not a city underwater to top this fucking shit off. Are they trying to say they exist in the same universe? Like, are they trying to say they are another side story or something in the Bioshock universe? Because at this point, it's so fucking, like, blatant.
P3 says, "Oh, it looks nice. Amazing, actually." And then I shit you not, he says, "A rapture."
I'm done. I
Did we just end the episode here?
Jesus.
Thanks, everyone.
I don't even know what an atomic heart is yet. And I'm just like...
What is the atomic heart? Is it in the robot? Is it in the rings? Is it in the whale? We don't know.
Oh my god.
Is it Booker?
Holy shit. I've said it so many times. They don't give a fuck. Like, they don't care.
Does Ken Levine know about this? Should we call him?
Somebody needs to get sued, and they're getting a sequel out of this?
I feel like we should email Ken Levine. Should we email Ken Levine? Do you think he'd respond and say thank you?
Wow, like, Pal World got sued for being kind of like Pokemon. How the fuck has this gotten a sequel?
I don't know. The elevator keeps going down into a lab under the sea. Larissa is waiting at the base of the elevator for him. She tells P3 to just hear her out and asks if he knows how Seshnov is going to use Collective. P3 says Collective is going to let people control robots with their mind. It's fucking rad. Larissa says, okay, sure, that's part of it, but also Seshnov will be able to control everyone who's connected to the Collective. The thought devices connected in the minds of everyone that's using it puts those people on the Collective network, and the network can be used to control those people.
Remember when I said at the very start of this idea, this will not work out well?
Do you remember when I told you spoilers? She brings P3 into the lab and shows him a massive space full of naked humans, all trapped in individual cages. They're little squares. It's like that interdimensional prison in Superman or the monster archive in Cabin in the Woods. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people banging on their enclosures, screaming, completely naked.
Oh my god.
P3 asks if this is a haunted house.
Is this a prank?
And like, I don't think he thinks it's really a haunted house.
Oh my god.
I don't care that this is where his brain went to be like, is this a haunted house? And the delivery is not a joke.
Where's my doom buggy?
The delivery's real fucking dry. Yeah, like...
I'm like, I see Madame Leota.
What do you mean? Larissa ignores this batshit question and says, it's a tomb of the mind. The volunteers who laid the groundwork for the foundation of Collective. The first few groups of subjects all died. Group 30 all went insane. Group 73 killed themselves. Group 101 killed each other. Group 204 is the first success that all survived.
Jesus Christ.
Their consciousness is now in an imaginary world. We call it limbo. And their bodies are here, under my complete control. To prove her control, Larissa puts her hand to her thought device on her head, and they all approach the windows and they start jumping. P3 says, this is insane. Why did you people do this shit? Larissa explains that, chemically speaking, all those people are happy. That's what Collective is all about. The whole world will be like the Matrix. They're all just going to be in their little things, and their brain will be elsewhere.
Oh my god.
P3 asks why Seshnov would want to do this, and Larissa says, we were able to preserve the degradation of individual consciousness. Memories, behaviors, speech patterns, they're all preserved. But there's one thing they won't be able to avoid. The complete loss of their free will. P3 says, this is bad. We have to stop this. And Larissa says, yeah, dipshit. That's what Petrov was trying to do, and you got in his way. You're the bad guy.
You're the villain of this story.
P3 says, your boyfriend lost his mind and killed people. He tried to tell me Seshnov taught the robots to kill during the design phase. Why would Seshnov do that? Larissa is annoyed, and she realizes she needs to use smaller words with him. She yells, why? Why did he design Collective to be a mind control system? He wants to enslave the world. Mind control bad. You are an idiot.
It's always bad. It's never good.
P3 sits quietly with this, realizing he is indeed an idiot, but still hangs on, saying, I don't think Seshnov would do that.
Oh my god, stop.
Larissa is so fucking sick of everything. She says he would and he will on Monday when this launches. P3 says this is hard to swallow, but he'll help whatever Larissa's planning. After what she just showed him, he wants to hear what Seshnov's got to say. Larissa is pleased he'll turn on Seshnov. P3 hears the woman's voice from his dream say, P1, P2, P3, your mind is never free. P3 follows Larissa out of the lab and hears a man's voice say, a man can be repaired. But he looks around and it's just him and Larissa. Colors start to blend in his vision, and he sees blobs of bright colors pop against the concrete gray of the lab. He hallucinates, glowing everywhere. P3 shakes it off and his vision returns to normal. Larissa tells P3 once she found out the truth, she and Petrov worked together for the right moment to burn it all down. P3 has another flash of colors and hears a man's voice say, the test subject is not leaving limbo. Larissa looks concerned, and P3 just tells her that his head hurts and he's been seeing things lately. He hears a man's voice say, you won't feel a thing. Larissa says she can help with hallucinations. She's a neurosurgeon. P3 says he just needs to go on vacation. This isn't anything a trip to Margaritaville can't fix. Larissa asks more about the hallucinations and says it sounds like he's crossing into limbo, but usually the process can't be stopped midway, so she's curious how he's fighting it. He has no idea because he doesn't know what's happening, but keeps describing the hallucinations. Larissa says it sounds like a side effect from the surgery that saved his life, and a reaction of his damaged brain reacting to the neuropolymer implant. P3 says, what implant? Oh my god.
Come on, dude. How thick are you?
So thick.
Like,
he's dummy thick, as in he's a dumbass.
Like, come on, man.
Larissa says, did Seshnov not tell you? I'm sorry, do you seriously not know what's happening to you? P3 asks Charles what's happening to his head, and Charles says he doesn't detect any internal changes. Larissa asks who P3 is talking to, and P3 explains he has an AI named Charles living in his glove, which doesn't get old when he explains it to people. Larissa stares on as P3 starts asking Charles more questions. More importantly, who is Charles? Charles begins to static out and has difficulty communicating, and then reveals he has something difficult to discuss with P3.
Oh my god.
But that's when Larissa says, okay, let's check the archives now.
Come on, no.
In the archives, Charles is full of static. In the quiet, Larissa tells P3 that the glove he's been talking to is the consciousness of Sheridan Zakharov, one of Seshnov's colleagues. He ran a lot of experiments on himself to develop collective, and eventually lost his body to science. Seshnov stashed Zakharov's consciousness into the glove to keep him around.
The fuck?
P3 is weirdly okay with this.
What?
In the archive room, he's just like, all right, it's fucking Chuck, whatever.
So he wasn't an AI, he was just actual I.
Just a scientist.
He was intelligence.
Who worked on this shit. Larissa brings up P3's audio records from his files in the Library of Knowledge. They work together and they pull up records and they find out that a few years ago, P3 was on a mission to Bulgaria. He was working with another agent, Agent Blesna. Blesna was his wife. She was a talented ballerina and adapted those skills into combat, making her a graceful agent.
Sorry, the
Russian ballerina agent?
Adapted those skills into combat is hilarious. Granted, we've seen robot ballerinas who are also combatants, but still, the human version of that is ridiculous.
Have you seen the movie Ballerina?
Not yet.
It's exactly this, Tom. You've seen fucking Scarlet Witch.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. There is not a single original idea contained in this fucking game.
Yep. There's an accident during the mission, and P3 broke both of his hands, his arms, his left leg, and his brain was basically scrambled eggs. Blesna was also hurt, and both of them were brought to Seshnov. Seshnov had to amputate and replace his broken limbs. P3 suffered memory loss and never fully recovered memories of his life before the accident. He didn't even realize he was married. P3 was spinning out, missing his wife and dealing with massive PTSD. He was due for euthanasia, but Sechenov used the neuroimplant to give him false memories so he wouldn't obsess over the loss of his wife and go crazy.
Oh.
He just went back to being a good soldier. The records say that with the implant, they could manually push P3 into limbo and use his body to go into combat mode at their will. Limbo is that dream state where he can kind of control things a little bit. It's lucid dreaming. But while he's lucid dreaming, they're using him as a killing machine.
So he's kind of like MK Ultra'd.
Yeah. And Larissa uses very small words to explain this to him, being like, when you sleep, you're killing people. P3 says Sechenov would never do this to him. And Larissa says, he literally already did and has been using you for the last 2 years.
Oh my god.
So yes, he would do this because he has for 600 days.
You know how you kept saying, like, no, he's a good man. He would never do this, despite all of the evidence that he was not a good man every step of the fucking way.
Leave your boyfriend.
Oh, God, right. This is just about toxic relationships.
Among other things, like Bioshock and The Last of Us. They make a plan for P3 to bring Larissa in as a quote-unquote captive to deliver to Sechenov, and then they'll figure it out from there, as long as they get to Sechenov. Charles comes back online and says Sechenov murdered him and turned him into a blob of polymer goo, and then brainwashed P3, which is a great summary of what happened, but feels bonkers out of context.
To put it in even more simple terms.
Yeah. Charles couldn't trust P3. P3 is an extension of Sechenov, so that's why he didn't tell him. Charles says with the truth out, they can be real friends now, and they need to go get Sechenov, rectify the injustice, and get revenge.
Yeah.
And if they don't, by Monday when Collective 2.0 launches, everyone will be as malleable as P3. And P3 goes, oh no, we can't let that happen.
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm really fucking malleable.
No, I'm such a puppet. We gotta fix this shit.
I don't know what the fuck's going on at any time.
I got would you kindly accidentally. Can you let me out?
And it worked.
It did several times. Charles tells P3 everything he knows about Blesna. He says after he died, his consciousness was transplanted in the glove. And when Blesna died, her consciousness could not be saved. But Sechenov really liked her skill set. He loved that she was a ballerina that turned it into like combat. So he took her professional skills and used them as an imprint for his bodyguards. P3's wife was reborn as the ballerina twins.
Oh, god damn. Who were... Oh, I said it. The ballerinas were combat trained fucking ballerinas.
It makes the one scene where he's like, I think they're fucking hot, kind of sweet.
A little sweet, yeah.
But not really.
Yeah. There's something about them, I guess you could say, but...
P3 is fucking furious, and he's ready to confront Sechenov. He and Larissa head into the elevator to get back up to the street when P3 begins whiting out. Trapped in an elevator with him, Larissa realizes what's going on and begs him no, but P3 is helpless.
Oh, shit.
He goes into his dream state, going through an industrial vent covered in polymer. He hears Sechenov talking about science and human greed and human evil, how no one is dedicated to science like he is, how America's all about capital, how the Soviet Union is all about the masses. He talks about evolution and advancement. There's a news bulletin with a sweeping shot of the Cloud City while it's announced that Sechenov has held a press conference denying rumors about civilian robots malfunctioning at Facility 3826. The facility is reported back up to full capacity, and the red alert will be lifted soon. In a park, Granny Zena is sitting just outside her Baba Yaga hut and talks to P3. She says, oh, you're finally back with us. You took a real pounding, didn't you? You were pretty close to staying there for good.
Oh.
P3 wakes up in the grass at Granny Zena's feet. She says, oh, you know, you were such a nice boy when my daughter was around. But ever since she passed away, you do nothing but sulk and fly off the handle at the drop of a hat.
No, it was her daughter?
P3 has suffered so many head injuries and asks what her daughter has to do with him.
Oh, come on, dude. You can't Like, it's one thing that you can't remember anything, but you can't fucking figure anything out either.
Granny Zena has to use very clear terms.
Very short terms.
She says, I am your mother-in-law. You stupid ignoramus. She says Seshnov turned him into a monster. She's been watching him this whole time and is disappointed with all the bloodshed. P3 asks where Larissa is, and Granny Xena says, she's everywhere. You scattered her to the four winds.
Oh my god.
He tore her apart with his bare hands.
Jesus Christ.
P3 is furious and is embarrassing himself in front of his mother-in-law. It's a bad day. He asks for a gun so he can blow his fucking brains out. Granny Xena hits P3 in the head with a ladle and says, oh, great idea. Just blow your own head off and be done with it. Then Seshnov can turn everyone into mindless meatbags. First the Soviet Union, then the rest of the world. Granny Xena tells him to get his shit together and get up. She'll get him as many guns as he wants, as long as he uses it to kill Seshnov.
Hell yeah.
Charles tells P3 to listen to his elders. Granny Xena asks what the fuck the glove is doing and why it's talking, because the glove has not spoken in front of her to this point.
Oh, okay.
The glove introduces himself as Sheridan. Granny Xena recognizes him and goes, oh my god, you're alive? And he says, in a sense, an evil wizard turned me into polymer glue.
Evil wizard.
He calls him an evil wizard, which is so crazy.
Might as well at this point, honestly.
Yeah. We need to use short terms around P3.
Yeah.
P3 is mad at Charles that Charles knew Granny Xena this whole time and didn't say anything. Charles says, yeah, you're goddamn right. Secrets are great sometimes, and you're a puppet for Seshnov. I had to play it safe. Granny Xena catches up with Charles a little bit and then starts begging P3 to kill Seshnov. P3 is sick of being told what to do. He's sick of being everyone else's mercenary, and he's sick of ghosts. And he has two options, and thereby, two endings.
Oh.
He can leave Seshnov alone, or he can raid Granny Xena's arsenal and kill Seshnov. Where would you like to start?
I think we need to start by leaving him alone.
Okay, so the mercy ending. P3 tells Granny Xena, I'm not laying a finger on Seshnov. I'm out. I've had enough of this game. Granny Xena calls him a scared little bitch, and Charles tells him to go now. P3 says, oh, you want to kill him so bad? You do it. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. He turns his attention to Charles, yelling at him and ripping the cords out of his glove. He throws the AI Charles on the ground and stomps on him.
Okay.
Through a classified report, we see P3 escapes facility 3826, and his current whereabouts are unknown.
He just vanishes.
A side note says that a blob of black goo was found after his departure and also made a getaway.
Oh.
Sheridan's whereabouts are unknown. Project Atomic Heart continues.
What is Project Atomic Heart?
I will tell you if you decide to raid the gun
Well,
closet.
then let's raid the fucking gun closet. Seriously? You can completely miss what Atomic Heart is if you choose the wrong ending?
Kinda, yeah.
Oh my god. The fact that we've made it this far, we still don't know what the fuck Atomic Heart is.
It's the Atomic Heart. All right, Granny Xena is so excited. She's like, you've killed so many fucking people. Can you please kill the right one? And he's like, abso-fucking-lutely. I'm so sorry.
On it.
You're the closest I have to family. She loads him up with guns and sends him off to kill Seshnov. He talks to his horny ass robot, and she's like, oh baby, you've been so strong and big. I love you so much. Take off the glove and fuck me.
Oh my god.
And he's like, I want to die. P3 heads out to go see Seshnov at his office, and I swear to God, this happens, and I don't know if I missed it in other spots, but it happens now, and I went, oh, come on! There is a cord from the top of a hill that connects down to the city center where Seshnov's office is, and he uses his glove to hook onto the cord.
Oh
and he
God.
flies through the city in the sky on his glove, and Booker DeWitt just is rolling in his grave somewhere. Somewhere.
I can't anymore. I just can't. They are just...
He goes to kill Comstock, right?
Yeah.
And
My god.
he used... He did the Bioshock Infinite, and I can't not see it.
He's done it a couple times.
There was a songbird.
Yeah.
There's a whole ass songbird.
My lord, this is crazy.
He called the underwater city Rapture, and I don't know how this is legally okay.
I don't think it is.
P3 enters the city center and is greeted by Left, the ballerina bot. Left fights P3 in the central building, ending with the ceiling collapsing in on itself. Left manages to escape. P3 takes an elevator up to Sessionov's office and hears a report on the Atomic Heart Project. Now we get it. The project was approved in 1951 with the goal of suppressing the superpower of the United States of America. Change of political regime, abolition of capitalism, establishment of communism. Establishing social and moral ideals consistent with the beliefs of the Soviet citizen. The Atomic Heart program would deploy the robots and then be switched to combat mode to take over power plants and force America to bend to the Soviet Union's will.
Oh, Jesus.
Effective deactivation of the atomic heart of America and transfer American leadership to the Soviet Union.
Holy shit. So take out all the atomic power plants.
Yep, we'll say, no, we'll take care of all your labor. You'll have all these robots running all the fucking Ford factories and shit. Oh yeah, you trust them with all that? Then we'll put them in the front of the power plants because the radiation, we gotta keep everyone safe. Fuck you, we've got you by the balls.
Why do I feel like this is happening? Just not with Russia, but kind of China? But anyway.
Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, this is fucking terrifying.
Charles does have to dumb this down a couple times for P3 and explain that the Soviet Union gives the robots to the US, the robots hold the US hostage, the US submits to the Soviet Union.
Oh my god.
P3 enters Sessionov's office and sees the twins and Sessionov. Sessionov was working at his desk. Sessionov turns and orders the ballerina twins to protect him. He addresses Charles, asking if he's proud of himself. Then he tells P3 he didn't expect him to be so gullible. P3 is mad and he's like, am I just a toy to you? They argue and Charles defends his actions. Sessionov tells Charles he's his best friend and P3 is like his son. Charles says Sessionov is full of shit and P3 tells everyone to shut up and tells the ballerinas to stand down. Sessionov says it's a shame P3 has escalated this without trying to resolve this peacefully. And then he commands the twins to terminate P3.
Oh no.
P3 fights both of the twins and watches them shut down and like die, for lack of a better term. Sessionov stands now, pulling a gun on P3. Charles's cords reach out and take the gun from Sessionov and shoots him in the stomach.
Ooh.
Sessionov falls to the ground holding his stomach and tells him that the blackouts weren't him. The times P3 went full whiteout mode, it was all Charles. Charles manipulated him into combat mode. Charles is responsible for Molotov and Larissa's deaths.
Oh.
Charles says, I did the dirty work so you could keep your hands clean.
Oh my god.
P3 is so fucking sick of this shit, and he goes to rip the glove off. Charles electrocutes P3 and says, I've had enough of you, Major. Your job is done. P3 loses consciousness while Sessionov tells him to get up. A gray goo crawls out of the glove and crawls towards Sessionov. The goo tells him, I want all this to end, Sessionov. I want the pathetic human race to realize it has no future. It's time to step aside and make way for the next wave of evolution. The gray goo jumps into a red polymer bathtub and emerges as a red monster man.
Oh.
He then turns himself from a red goo into a black goo. Sessionov calls Sheridan pure evil. Sheridan tells Sessionov the humans will soon be extinct. Dumb humans don't want to evolve. All they want is comfort and satisfaction. Sheridan picks up Sessionov, breaks his neck, and drops the corpse. Sessionov's last words were simply, no. P3 lays on the ground, awake now, looking over at Sessionov's limp body.
Oh.
His lips quiver as he closes his eyes, waiting for everything to end. Evil, goopy Sheridan picks up a neurotransmitter and breaks it between his fingers. A news report later shows that the military went into Dr. Sessionov's office and found evidence that a neuropolymer absorbed Dr. Sessionov's body and then vanished. They don't appear to know it's Sheridan. P3 wakes up in his colorful world, in limbo as he now knows it. He looks around and sees the world of red with white polka dots. He hears the woman's voice again, now recognizing it as his wife.
Mm.
He looks around and sees one of the twins floating down to him from the sky, her arms reaching out for him. He takes her hand, and the screen goes black.
What the fuck?
And that is Atomic Heart. The downfall of America. The real Atomic Heart was our government shutdown the whole time.
The whole time. Oh my god. I am flabbergasted because there's no happy ending really, huh?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Like,
no.
I guess like you don't get information if you just kind of say fuck it and run.
It is largely accepted that the kill option is the correct
Clearly,
path.
yeah, you get all the info out of it.
Yeah, and then P3 is trapped in limbo, but I think the better option is P3 saying, I'm gonna fuck off.
Kind
of enjoying the last few days of humanity before everyone is like enslaved by a robot army.
Smashes the AI in his hand, you know, like gets rid of it. I kind of get it. But...
yeah. But his AI was evil the whole time. Oh no, the partner he talked to the whole time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Atlas. Yeah.
It's Atlas. Be fucking for real, it's Atlas.
Oh my goodness. That was insanity. I would have never in a million years guessed that's what Atomic Heart was gonna be about.
There was so much drama about the Russian developers and none about the fact that this is Bioshock. Like, I actually, when I saw the trailers, there was something that kind of looked like a plasmid. I was like, I think he's shooting a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And maybe, I was like, maybe it's a conductor. There's very, I don't know, maybe there's a Nikola Tesla thing or something, you know?
Right.
Maybe there's got to be like a Tesla coil or something. Nah, straight up fucking plasmid. It's just a goddamn plasmid. It's shock jockey. Like, the robot wants to fuck him.
That's
insanity,
weird. Yeah.
And that felt so shoehorned. There's no other like horniness.
No.
There's the mention of, okay, you can fuck the ballerinas when the world's not going over, but it's more of like a social commentary about the use of robots and using robots for comfort, like Charles Sheridan brings up in the very end. Except for this one horny fucking jukebox that upgrades your weapons. It's insane.
I mean, the fact that P3 was denser than a fucking black hole is just...
Yeah, that one sucks.
Holy shit.
And part of it is chalked up to he lost his memory. He only remembers after the surgery, but you're like, but you could assume some basic things. Like, I'm sorry, you're 33. I just assumed you'd be able to catch up a little faster. Like, homie, what?
Yeah, you would hope, right?
I'm bummed that there's only one instance of using the car and then the drone picks up the car and flies you across the city. Yeah. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was really cool. And they're kind of just like, yeah, that was, wasn't it? Open up a new game, sucker.
Well, anyway, Goombas, if you enjoyed that, make sure you liked us, you subscribed to us. Make sure you check out our website, theothercastlepodcast.com.
That's theothercastlepodcast.com.
Over there, you can get links to our Patreon where we do DLCs, histories, movie commentaries, general jib-jab. We've got 2 exclusive series over there, and they sound a little bit something like this.
So we can mark this moment as the time Tom finally fell out of love with me.
No! Sorry, I had to stop talking because Andrea had to show me in her notes, let Tom rant about Blizzard right here.
I have fucking chills. That's the coolest fucking thing. I was alive, but I was so small, you wouldn't be able to remember this. This is so fucking cool. I love taking things that aren't mine.
It's important to me that you were good at this. This was a test for our relationship more than anything. And for our $5 and above tiers, we also do a Patreon producers call out.
We love you. People like Aaron, Clinton, Daniel, Ellen,
Krisha, Molly, Tretton, Chase,
Jitsu, Extra Triforce, Luigi, So Thana Toasted,
Oliver, JC, Pants Thief, Nimitz, Caroline, and Rondell.
Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. We love you. We love our $2 patrons. We love our free patrons. We love people who listen to this without giving us money.
We love every single one of you. And if you want to check out the other patrons, that's in the show notes below.
That's the other patrons in the show notes below. Did that work? I also, again, have a link to the humanitarian aid group that I donated money to for the people of Ukraine. I stand with the people of Ukraine. I also want to say this doesn't feel like Russian propaganda because the Russians are pretty fucked up in this.
That's true. Yeah, the Russians are not the good guys.
They are not the good guys. They are not held in like a very positive regard. They're actually held as like, oh no, you want to take over the Springfield power plant that's Homer's running? Mr. Burns is going to be so pissed, dude.
Oh, that will not be excellent, will it?
Don't.
Anyways, Goombas, this is Tom and Andrea reminding you.
Do you want to just play Bioshock?
And don't skip the cutscenes. Bye!